Chapter 275. Ning Qing followed this ray of light and arrived at a new hall. This hall was well lit and was much better than the dark hall from before. Not only that, but the main hall was also very luxurious, and was paved with precious materials that Ning Qing could not identify. The surrounding was incomparably rich in spiritual qi, causing Ning Qing to speculate that this hall was the immortal cave that everyone was looking for. But it was so easy for him to find it, it made Ning Qing somewhat unable to believe it. Ning Cheng's gaze swept out. He couldn't help but think that if this was the ancient immortal cave, then wouldn't there be a lot of treasures here? Immediately, a supreme-grade flying spiritual artifact appeared in his sight. Best quality flight-type spiritual artifacts, even if it was a soul-sculpting realm cultivator, it would still have a great attraction. In just a few steps, Ning Qing arrived at the site of the best quality flight-type spiritual artifact. It could be said that any low-leveled cultivator would not be able to hold back their love for this flight-type spiritual artifact. Moreover, Ning Qing also found that this best quality flight-type spiritual artifact did not even have half a restriction around it, which meant that he could casually take it away. Liang Kersen, who was inside the icicle, on seeing Ning Qing rush towards the flight-type magical weapon, gave out a sigh. She knew that with Ning Cheng's virtue, he would definitely immediately reach out to grab it. Then, they came to this igloo together. Almost all the people in the ice house thought that Ning Qing would reach out and grab it, but Ning Qing did not immediately grab this flight-type magical weapon. This best quality flight-type spiritual artifact was very precious to all of the lower-leveled cultivators, but Ning Qing was an exception. Ning Qing had the twin heavenly cloud wings, moreover he had recently obtained a new pair of taintless silver wing feathers. Moreover, he also had the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel, which was driven by the power of hope. Therefore, its speed was much faster than this best quality flight-type spirit artifact. It was precisely because Ning City had so many good things, that he did not immediately go and grab them. However, this did not mean that Ning Qing did not like this best quality spiritual artifact. In fact, he was equally tempted by this best quality spiritual artifact. Just because he was useless didn't mean others were useless. What about Ji Luofei? At the same time, it was also because Ning Qing did not immediately grab this flight-type magical weapon, that he was aware of a trace of something wrong. This was merely a top-grade flying spiritual artifact, but he could feel a trace of extraordinary spiritual energy coming from it. That's right, it was different. This kind of spiritual energy was completely different from the spiritual energy he usually absorbed. Not only was it different, but it was also several levels higher. This spiritual energy, which was several grades higher, gave him a familiar feeling. Ning Cheng's memory was incomparably powerful, and instantly remembered where he had encountered this kind of spiritual qi. It was in the forbidden land of the frigid river. Originally, the forbidden cold river was called the Thunder Fall Scorching River. Later, because an immortal mansion fell at the bottom of the river, it became the Cold River. Ning Qing also knew that the reason why the Thunder Fall Scorching River had turned into a cold river was because of the Star River fire seed in his Zifu. When he followed the white-haired old woman to the bottom of the cold river, the white-haired old woman entered the immortal mansion, while he kept the Star River outside the immortal mansion. At the same time, he also absorbed the spiritual qi outside the immortal mansion to cultivate. That kind of spiritual energy was exactly the same as this one. It was very beneficial for cultivation. Could this be an immortal residence? This is the Zhuohe immortal abode? As soon as he thought of this, Ning Qing immediately thought of the scene of the white-haired old woman being blasted out of the immortal mansion and suffering severe injuries. His cultivation was worlds apart from that white-haired old woman's. As such, he did not want to be blasted out of the immortal mansion because of a dispensable thing. It would be fine if he was blasted out, but it wouldn't be worth it if he died here. Whether it was the burning he immortal mansion or not, Ning Qing felt that he should not be limited to one or two magical weapons. If he could refine the entire immortal mansion, then what about it? Once he refined this immortal abode, everything in this immortal abode would belong to him. He already had the everlasting Blue Thunder City in his Zifu, who could be sure that he would not be able to refine this immortal mansion. It's just a best quality spiritual artifact, it's not even worth mentioning. Ning Qing muttered to himself, as he unexpectedly bypassed this flight-type magical weapon and continued to walk inside. He was thinking about where he could find the mansion's steel to refine the immortal mansion. Once he found the steel, he would refine the immortal mansion. Not to mention a supreme-grade spiritual weapon, even a brick inside would be his. In the end, if he really couldn't find the mansion's steel, he would come back and take away this supreme-grade spiritual weapon. What was going on? All the cultivators frozen in the ice pillars in the ice houses stared at Ning Qing in doubt. A profound core first-level cultivator, why was he able to remain indifferent in the face of a best-quality flight-type magical weapon that was within his reach? Why did he just take a look at it and walk away? This kind of temperament, wasn't it just too high and mighty? Even Liang Kersen was looking at Ning Qing with a puzzled expression. Even if her face was pale, and her hands were trembling slightly, she could not understand why Ning Qing did not take away that supreme-grade spiritual artifact. In her view, Ning Qing was a person who was not willing to suffer a loss, so how could he ignore this kind of benefit? Ning Qing had only taken a few steps, when he once again saw a magical weapon. This time it was not a supreme-grade spiritual artifact, but rather a low-grade true artifact. It was also a flight-type magical weapon. This was a very beautiful airship-type magical weapon. Among all the airship-type magical weapons that Ning Qing had seen before, it was not as beautiful as this airship-type magical weapon. Ning Qing subconsciously wanted to raise his hand to grab it, but the rich spiritual qi in the air caused Ning Qing to quiver. He instantly understood that the place he was in might be an immortal mansion. Once he grabbed this low-grade true artifact, then he would have to think of the white-haired old woman's fate. Two coveting magical weapons appeared in front of Ning Qing, causing Ning Qing's heart to become even more fiery. He secretly made up his mind that he must find the steel of this immortal mansion. He vowed not to give up until he found it. As for why he was suddenly transferred to this place, Ning Qing had completely forgotten about it. At this moment, he only had a single thought in his mind, that is, this is an immortal mansion. If I want to refine this immortal mansion, then I will not be able to just take one or two things. Barely suppressing his own fanaticism, Ning Qing casually spoke up, alas, it's just a trivial low-grade true artifact magical weapon, my family's backyard is filled with them, forget it, let's just take a look. After talking to him for a while, Ning Qing sped up his pace. He was thinking in his heart that this immortal mansion would soon become his family's backyard. Another trivial low-grade true artifact. Could a low-grade true artifact even be considered trivial? Even for a crucible transformation cultivator, a low-grade true artifact flight-type magical weapon was extremely precious. At this time, the cultivators frozen in the ice house were completely speechless. What kind of freak was this? Was his temperament really so noble that it was completely different from them? Could he really resist this kind of temptation? Even the few soul essence cultivators who were trapped in the icicles were staring at Ning Qing in a daze. They had never seen such a strange fellow before. While Ning Qing was looking for the steel to refine the immortal mansion, he also felt that he was attracted by the magical weapons in this place. There was a very important thing that he could not remember, or rather, he was not willing to think about it. An incomparably soft white light suddenly appeared in front of Ning Qing, causing Ning Qing to stare at a beautiful flying all-type magical weapon in front of him. Moreover, it was a flight-type magical weapon. However, this was definitely a middle-grade true artifact. On the left and right sides of the flying all-type magical weapon, there was also a pair of faint hidden wings. Moreover, the hidden wings had two grooves, which was the place to place the spirit stones. This flying all-type magical weapon gave Ning Qing a feeling that once he sat on it, even a sea-opening realm cultivator would not necessarily be able to catch up with him. This thing was definitely better than his true Brahma Buddha fire wheel. It was something that he had always dreamed of. Although the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel's speed was much faster than this, but it required the power of hope to propel it. Moreover, the power of hope that he used would decrease. This thing must be taken. Ning Qing took a step forward and raised his hand to grab it. However, as his hand stretched out halfway, he suddenly remembered something. He said that it was just a trifling best quality flight type spiritual artifact, but a low-grade true artifact appeared. He said that it was just a trifling low-grade true artifact, but a middle-grade flying all-type true artifact appeared. These things seemed to have increased in grade according to his dissatisfaction. In just a moment, Ning Qing once again reacted. This place was an immortal mansion. He was still looking for the steel a moment ago, and was ready to refine this immortal mansion. How could he forget about it in just a blink of an eye? Ning Qing slowly retracted his hand, and began to concentrate on circulating his true essence. After the true essence circulated through his meridians, his sea of consciousness immediately turned clear, and then his Zifu also became incomparably clear. He finally remembered something that he had not remembered before, that is, he did not come here on his own, but was forcibly transferred here. There was definitely something strange about this place, Ning Qing slowly sighed. Fortunately, he was experienced and knowledgeable, and had already seen the Zhuohe Immortal Mansion. Moreover, he also had a lot of good things, as such he would not be attracted by such a small thing. At the same time, his Zifu had been reshaped by the mysterious yellow origin, which really was not ordinary, allowing him to sober up quickly. Seeing Ning Qing reach out and grab the middle-grade true artifact flying all the people trapped in the ice house finally breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, this person was still normal. If he did not even want this middle-grade flying all-type true artifact, then it would really be too abnormal. But then all the people were shocked, as they saw Ning Qing unexpectedly retract his hand. What was going on? How could this person's willpower be so strong? Ning Qing was secretly afraid in his heart. Once his mind sobered up, he completely understood what was going on. His mind was now clear, and his sea of consciousness was also clear. It was clear that after he entered this place, he had become abnormal, or rather, he had become greedy. If there was no one controlling this place, then even if he was beaten to death, he would not believe it. If a middle-grade flying all-type true artifact had appeared from the beginning, then maybe he would have fallen into a trap. Fortunately, it was only a best-quality spiritual artifact, magical artifact that appeared at the beginning. Knowing that there might be someone controlling these things, Ning Cheng's heart suddenly jumped up. He swept out with his spiritual consciousness, but could not find even the slightest bit of strangeness. Ning Qing suddenly took out a few high-grade spirit stones from his ring and threw them at the flying all-type magical artifact. Why does this thing look like a food trough for chickens? Rubbish, it's really rubbish. It's an eyesore, it's really an eyesore. Pa pa. A few spirit stones smashed onto the flying all, but Ning Qing simply turned around and walked away. Although Ning Qing could not see the ice house, but the cultivators inside the ice house were all staring at Ning Qing with wide eyes. A middle-grade flight-type true artifact was actually a food trough for chickens? How could this person think of such a thing? Moreover, he even used spirit stones to smash it. At this time, the huge cauldron in the ice house suddenly trembled, as if there was an angry aura surrounding the huge cauldron. However, all the frozen cultivators in the ice house were paying attention to Ning Qing, this living treasure, and completely ignored the huge cauldron. Chapter 276. Ning Qing guessed that this place was similar to an immortal mansion, and that someone was specifically controlling it. He was anxiously thinking of countermeasures in his heart, but he did not know that there were so many pairs of eyes watching his actions. Spiritual enhancement true nectar. Ning Qing had only taken a few steps, when he once again saw a huge jade barrel. This jade barrel did not have a lid, but from the liquid inside the jade barrel, he could clearly see that this was a barrel of spiritual enhancement true nectar. Even if the cultivators in the ice houses were frozen solid, seeing so much spiritual enhancement true nectar, they could not help but simultaneously reveal a covetous look. Hey, why is there such a big bucket of bath water? The people living in this house are really filthy. They even collect bathing water. What a pervert. Ning Qing tried hard to remember how he came in, while at the same time muttered to himself in disdain. Ning Qing even used his spiritual consciousness to repeatedly sweep through this spiritual enhancement true nectar, and finally determined that it was not an illusion, but the real spiritual enhancement true nectar. But in the depths of his heart, he had a feeling that this spiritual enhancement true nectar was not real. It was just that this kind of fake thing had reached the point where even he couldn't recognize it. If this was the real spiritual enhancement true nectar, then Ning Cheng would truly feel some disdain towards it. Saying that the spiritual enhancement true nectar was a kind of bath water was not wrong, at least he and Yen Ji had used this thing to take a bath. But what if he did not have this kind of spiritual enhancement true nectar? Would he forget how he came in again, and then grab the bucket of spiritual enhancement true nectar and throw it into his ring? After Ning Cheng said that this bucket of spiritual enhancement true nectar was bathwater, he could feel that there was a kind of anger in it. This made Ning Cheng more and more sure that there was someone controlling this place. Moreover, this person would even become incomparably angry at him for disdaining the things inside. Fortunately, he had a lot of things, moreover his Zifu was also reshaped by the mysterious yellow origin, as such it would not be easy for him to once again fall into a state of greed. Ning Cheng did not know why so many good things kept appearing in this place, but he was sure that the reason why these good things kept appearing was because they wanted him to take them away. He was not going to take it away now. What could he do about it? Thinking till here, Ning Cheng casually took out a jade ladle, and scooped up a ladle of spiritual enhancement true nectar from his own pond. He first used the spiritual enhancement true nectar to wash his hands, and then smashed the spiritual enhancement true nectar on the ground and spoke, "This kind of thing, this father uses it every day to wash my feet and my buttocks. What kind of doghouse is this? Ah, why is it filled with rubbish? There's nothing that can move my heart. I'm really disappointed, too disappointed." With his mouth full of disdain, Ning Cheng's hand was already gripping the talisman given to him by the skeleton. Once the situation went wrong, he would immediately crush the talisman. Ning Cheng believed that the talisman given to him by the skeleton was extraordinary, and would definitely allow him to return to the bottom of the blood river. If he couldn't even protect himself, how could he talk about saving people? In any case, he now had the best quality spirit stones. At worst, he would just have to come out again. If that skeleton could give him a talisman, then it could definitely give him a second one. When Ning Cheng said that the spiritual enhancement true nectar was nothing more than trash bathing water, the cultivators who were staring at Ning Cheng from the ice house were completely dumbfounded. This was the spiritual enhancement true nectar. Ah, just a dozen drops would be enough for a cultivator to comprehend it once. But here was a large barrel, and Ning Cheng had actually said that this barrel was bathing water. Some of the trapped cultivators were already speculating that Ning Cheng knew that these things could not be taken away, as such he would only say such words. But how could Ning Cheng, a profound core cultivator, know about it? Even if he knew about it, how could he control the emotions of wanting good things? The huge cauldron on top of the ice house could not help but roar, as the intermittent swaying immediately attracted the attention of the cultivators trapped inside the ice house. Although the people inside the icicles were aware that they were trapped, it was to make them automatically overflow their souls into the huge cauldron if they could not resist it. But now that the huge cauldron really started swaying, it really made all the people inside feel shocked. However, the people inside the ice house quickly used all of their strength to resist the cold of the icicles. They all knew that even if they panicked, it would not be of any use. The existence inside this ice house seemed to have a principle, that is, you must take the initiative to take away his things, only then would you be trapped inside this ice house. Moreover, after being trapped inside this ice house, as long as you can resist the cold, then you would not have any problems. The existence inside the huge cauldron would also not force you to overflow your soul into the huge cauldron. Now that Ning Cheng was constantly scolding the things in here as garbage, if they did not take these things, then it would arouse the anger of the existence inside the huge cauldron, perhaps they would be able to escape. Thinking of this, almost all the people were looking forward to Ning Cheng constantly scolding these things as garbage. The more he scolded them, the better it would be. Although they all knew that the things in here were not only not garbage, but they were also top-quality things. When Ning Cheng really took out the spiritual enhancement true nectar, and even used the spiritual enhancement true nectar to wash his hands, while simultaneously smashing the jade ladle, all the cultivators present were completely shocked. It turned out that he was not pretending, it turned out that these things in his eyes were really garbage. Ah! Even some of the cultivators who thought that Ning Qing understood that the things in here could not be casually taken away, began to wonder, did this profound core cultivator really know that the things in here could not be taken away, or did he really think that the things in here were garbage? Only Liang Kersen knew that Ning Qing really did have a lot of spiritual enhancement true nectar. As for how much, she was not very clear about it. At this moment, the huge cauldron that was constantly beating in anger also gradually calmed down. It seemed to be shocked that Ning Qing had really taken out the spiritual enhancement true nectar, moreover was really throwing it around like it was washing his feet. If Ning Qing did not do it intentionally, then what should he do? The existence inside the huge cauldron itself was a terrifying existence from ancient times. He cultivated karma, everything has a cause and effect. If Ning Qing really did not covet the cause of his immortal cave, then there was no way for him to obtain the result. As the huge cauldron gradually settled down, more and more good things continued to appear in front of Ning Qing. Medium-grade offensive true artifact. Garbage. High-grade defensive true artifact. Garbage. Rank 8 Earth-grade pill. Garbage. Killing intent pill that can transform into immortal. Garbage. Garbage, hey, there is a huge pill cauldron here. Ning Qing called out garbage all the way, before finally stopping his footsteps and looking at a huge high-grade true artifact pill cauldron in front of him. The existence inside the huge cauldron, who was already on the verge of a violent rage, finally gave out a long sigh. This kid finally stopped. This father does not believe that there is nothing here that you can take a fancy to. He originally did not care about the soul of a profound core kid, but now he was even more eager to taste the taste of this profound core kid's soul. All the people in the ice house nervously looked at Ning Qing, not knowing if Ning Qing would take this pill cauldron or not. Ning Qing circled around the pill cauldron for a long time, before he gave out a sigh and spoke. I originally wanted to take it back and use it as a toilet, but how come it still has a few corners? Can you even sit on this thing as a toilet? This is not garbage, it's even worse than garbage. This is a battle garbage among the garbage, ba ba. Spitting out a few mouthfuls of spittle into the pill cauldron, it really affects my vision, it also affects my mood. Even if he did not know what was a battle garbage among the garbage, the existence inside the huge cauldron still trembled in anger, almost going against his own karma Dao, directly grabbing Ning Qing into the ice house, and then forcibly freezing him into an icicle. However, he still had his reason. With his current cultivation, even if he wanted to keep this immortal cave, it would still be somewhat difficult. Once he violated the karma Dao, then he would have to sink into oblivion for countless years. Ning Cheng's mind was clear. He was already clear about what was going on. He knew that he should have fallen into the control of someone else. These magical weapons and pills that were constantly appearing were the biggest explanation. The only way for him to survive was to call out the person who was secretly watching him, and then negotiate face to face. Ning Cheng clenched the talisman in his hands, as he suddenly spoke to himself. I don't know if there are any mirage stones in this place, but with this kind of garbage piled up like a mountain in an immortal cave, I guess that it would be very difficult to find such a good thing. Ning Cheng had not gone far, when he saw a jade table with two white things on it. It was precisely the mirage stones that Ning Cheng had just spoken about. Ning Cheng sneered in his heart. This person really thought that as long as he entered this place, he would completely forget about the cause and effect, and would completely lose himself in the things in this place, regardless of their origins. Unfortunately, he still remembered the cause and effect. He had just spoken about the mirage stones, and now a mirage stone had appeared. This thing was not fake, he did not believe it at all. Hey, there really is a mirage stone, ah, haha. Luck, it really is luck. Ning Cheng was pleasantly surprised as he rubbed his hands together, as he looked at it again and again, while at the same time he gave a triumphant laugh. Little grasshopper, although this father's cultivation is not even a billionth of what it used to be, but do you think that I can't concoct a little thing like you? The existence inside the huge cauldron proudly looked at the excited Ning Cheng. What he did not expect was that Ning Cheng, who was still in high spirits a moment ago, suddenly flew into a rage. Looking at the quality of this mirage stone, it is at most a 7-colored mirage stone. I knew that this place was trash, but I did not think that it would be so trashy. This father even threw away a 9-colored mirage stone as if it was garbage, but this is just a 7-colored mirage stone, yet it is still placed on a jade table. Which beggar's immortal cave is this? Depressing, it is really depressing. I am going to leave, this place is too boring. Ba ba. After spitting out 2 mouthfuls of saliva, Ning Cheng threw the 9-colored mirage stone in his hands. What this grandfather wants is a 10-colored mirage stone. You even dare to take out a 7-colored mirage stone to make a fool of yourself. This grandfather will give you a 9-colored mirage stone, take it and play with it, you poor ghost. Ning Cheng's words immediately caused the cultivators trapped in the ice house to laugh, even if they knew that they would not be able to escape, but Ning Cheng's actions were still a slap to their faces. Bastard! Mirage stones only have a maximum of 9 colors, where did you get a 10-colored mirage stone? The existence inside the huge cauldron finally could not bear the anger in its heart, even if its body was just a faint shadow, it still rushed out of the huge cauldron and roared at Ning Cheng. He really could not figure out from where did this best quality profound core cultivator come from. He even regretted it, why did he bring this fellow in? Ning Cheng gave out a sigh, he finally managed to stir it up. Then he saw an ice house slowly emerge, above the ice house hung the 3 words Karma House. Inside the ice house, there were more than 100 icicles, each of these icicles seemed to have a cultivator trapped inside. Liang Kersen. Sun Hanrui. Ning Cheng immediately saw the 2 people trapped inside the icicles. Then Ning Cheng also saw Xin Hai who had just disappeared, along with Bu Mei, as well as several other soul essence cultivators from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. These cultivators all had a common characteristic, that is, all of them were trapped inside an icicle. Chapter 277. You'd better take care of yourself, little thing. The faint phantom above the cauldron spoke with disdain. Ning Cheng turned his gaze towards this phantom, he suddenly had a strange feeling, from this phantom, he could see a familiar aura. When he had first obtained the Thunder Domain City, those powerful cultivators in the Great War, had a similar aura to this phantom. This was definitely a terrifying powerhouse, perhaps he was hiding in this place to cultivate and recuperate, just like that Fang Jian. You have a good name, old man. Karma House, if there is a cause then there will be an effect. Today you trapped me here is the cause, in the future you will receive your retribution. Ning Cheng looked at the Karma House, and suddenly spoke with a smile. When did I trap you? You came in on your own. The phantom suddenly retorted. Ning Cheng gave a smile, I was looking for some magical weapon fragments on that battlefield, you brought me here for no reason at all, if it was not because of you, then what was the reason? Ning Cheng felt that when he spoke about karma, this phantom seemed to be particularly nervous, as such he simply spoke again. Nonsense, you don't even care about high-grade true artifacts, why would you care about some low-grade magical weapon fragments? Lying will only result in karma. The phantom retorted without hesitation. What do you know? Ning Cheng scolded the phantom in disdain, while simultaneously taking out his profound break spear. You take a look at the magical weapon I am using, it is a medium-grade spiritual artifact. That's right, the spear is also cracked a little. I only have the cultivation of profound core first level, yet you take out a magical weapon that I can't use and show it to me, if it is not garbage then what is it? What kind of logic was this? The phantom was completely speechless, and only retorted after a good while, even if you can't use it, you can still use it in the future. Besides, how many spiritual artifacts can a true artifact be exchanged for? Ning Cheng spoke in a very contemptuous tone, are you sure that I will be able to use it in the future? What if my cultivation stagnates? What if I can use it in the future better than this? The phantom felt that its body seemed to be dissipating, and quickly retracted back into the cauldron. He did not want to argue with Ning Cheng, and directly spoke, you have a friend here, you can ask me for a favor, let me let go of your friend. Ning Cheng held the talisman in his hands, as such he was not afraid of this phantom. He spoke with disdain, you want me to save my friend? Don't think too highly of yourself. I can shatter your icicles with a single spear strike. What can you do to me? If you could, you would have done it long ago, you old fart. Although he said that, but Ning Cheng was still very afraid in his heart. What did you call me? The phantom's angry voice resounded. You are just a lump of air. I guess that you have lived for countless years in vain. If you are not an old fart, then what are you? Ning Cheng smiled. Although he was afraid of this phantom, he did not believe that this phantom had the ability to make a move. If he had the ability to make a move, he probably wouldn't have been able to endure such mockery. At this time, Ning Cheng suddenly heard a "catcha" sound. Immediately, he saw an illusory figure emerge from one of the ice pillars. This illusory figure fell directly into the cauldron. After the illusory figure disappeared, the cultivator in the ice pillar disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. Old fart, so you rely on devouring souls to strengthen yourself, do you still have any face? Ning Cheng cursed. He had thought that Liang Kursen was only frozen in the ice pillar, but now it seems that if he did not save her, then perhaps Liang Kursen would also be frozen into nothingness. The phantom spoke with disdain. Don't think that I would not dare to make a move on you. The people here owe me karma, as such they would use their souls to pay me back. This is karma. If you dare to offend me, then even if I have to bear the karma of an ant cultivator like you, I will still kill you. Oh, then your life is finished. Since you are a cultivator and pay attention to karma, do you know my origin? If you kill me, can you bear this huge karma? You have this kind of huge karma on your body. The sooner you die, the sooner it ends, then why would you still want to cultivate the Tao? Ning Cheng spoke nonsense, but at the same time he came to understand. The cultivators who came here took the things of this phantom. It was equivalent to sowing the karma, but the karma was just too big. It would have to use their own souls to pay for it. What Ning Cheng did not notice was that the words that he had just spoken caused the phantom to shake once again. Moreover, the shadow that had just solidified a bit, once again started to dissipate a bit. Whether I can cultivate or not, you will not be able to see it. Do you think that I have no way to leave the cauldron, so you can't do anything to me? Let me tell you the truth, this hall is filled with my power. The phantom gave a cold snort and spoke. Your power? It is by relying on this karma. As Ning Cheng spoke until here, his heart suddenly moved. He remembered that when he had just come in, there seemed to be a kind of power similar to the power of hope. Was this the power of karma? If the power of hope could become a power, then who could be sure that karma could not become a power? I finally understand, old fogey. I'm afraid that you are relying on this power of karma, right? Would I be afraid of your power of karma? To tell you the truth, I can destroy it with just a lift of my hand. Ning Cheng immediately spoke out. Regardless of whether it was right or wrong, he had to first deceive this old fogey. Who the hell are you? The phantom once again trembled. He quickly fell into the cauldron, leaving only a part of him outside. From his trembling tone, one could tell that he was extremely afraid of Ning Cheng. In this broken Yixing mainland, no one knew about the power of karma, yet this person actually knew about it. This person was definitely not a cultivator from the Yixing mainland. Was he the same as him, someone who was hiding from the great calamity of the past, and was hiding in this unknown corner of the world? Thinking that Ning Cheng might be such a powerhouse, the phantom waved his hand, and the ice house that Ning Cheng could see disappeared in an instant. As for the cultivators frozen in the ice house, they also could not see Ning Cheng anymore. Ning Cheng could feel the fear of this phantom, causing him to increasingly feel that this old fogey must have come from a very distant place. However, he was very worried about Liang Kursen and Sun Hanrui. As such he had to hurry up and rescue the two of them. There was also that Xian Hai. He was also a good person, and could also be saved. Thinking until here, Ning Cheng suddenly shook the profound break spear in his hands and spoke. Who is this young master? Let me show you this move, then you will know who this young master is. The profound break spear drew an indescribable arc, before suddenly thrusting out. A berserk spear intent, which caused the entire hall to suddenly lose its color, erupted out. A kind of fierce killing intent seemed as if it would blow up the entire hall in an instant. Not to mention the hall, even if it was a planet, in the face of this kind of berserk killing intent, it would also turn into nothingness. The phantom suddenly trembled, and in the blink of an eye, that slightly solid shadow turned even more faint. You must be him, it must be him. The phantom's voice trembled just like his body. If he had teeth, then Ning Cheng would definitely be able to hear the sound of the phantom's teeth clattering against each other. Less nonsense with this young master. This young master cannot remember a lot of things. If I could remember, then I would have already pulled out your thin skin. Ning Cheng was also secretly shocked in his heart. Who was the powerhouse that had unleashed this spear? He had only managed to obtain 1/1000th of this spear, yet this old man was already scared witless. Seeing that the phantom was still in a state of panic, Ning Cheng suddenly gave a cold snort and spoke, "Hurry up and bring out the ice house, let me save people. Otherwise, heh." This time the phantom did not even speak any nonsense, as the ice house once again appeared. Ning Cheng immediately saw the incomparably nervous Liang Kersen inside the icicle, but Liang Kersen was currently shivering from the cold, as if her soul would leave her body at any moment. Ning Cheng walked into the ice house, and shot his spear at the icicle that froze Liang Kersen. Catcha! A sound emerged, as the icicle that Liang Kersen was in instantly shattered into pieces. Liang Kersen also collapsed to the ground, as she spat out a mouthful of black blood. Ning Cheng took out a pill and handed it to Liang Kersen and spoke, "Junior apprentice sister Kersen, you heal yourself first, I will save junior apprentice sister Hanrui." Saying that, Ning Cheng once again shot his spear at the icicle that froze Sun Hanrui. Sun Hanrui's strength was much stronger than Liang Kersen, as such after coming out, she still cupped her fists towards Ning Cheng and thanked him, "Many thanks senior apprentice brother Ning for the life-saving grace." Seeing many longing eyes, Ning Cheng directly walked towards the icicle that was Xin high, and also shot out a spear. "Senior apprentice brother Ning, I want to save the rest of the senior apprentice brothers and senior apprentice sisters." Sun Hanrui saw the longing in the eyes of the rest of the people from the icicle, and asked in a low voice. Ning Cheng saw the longing in the eyes of the many people, and suddenly spoke up, "Old fart, open up all these icicles, all of them are my friends." After saying those words, Ning Cheng immediately remembered the things that he had encountered in the law's way. At that time, he had also saved a lot of people, but in the end, most of them ended up biting the hand that fed them. "Hey, wait!" Ning Cheng suddenly saw Fu Xingnan and Wen Han. Even if he wanted to save someone, he could not save these two people. Catcha! Catcha! Sounds of ice breaking emerged. Ning Cheng's words were obviously a bit too late, as all the ice cubes had already been broken. Many of the cultivators were given a new life, and there were even a few cultivators who were so excited that they started crying. "If there is nothing else, then I will be leaving." The flickering shadow cowered in front of the huge cauldron, revealing a vague head. Ning Cheng was secretly annoyed that this flickering shadow had broken the ice cubes too quickly. Even Fu Xingnan and Wen Han, this kind of trash, were also saved. As such he immediately spoke up in a bad mood, "Leave? Why do you want to leave? I have gone through untold hardships to come here, and other than saving people, I have not obtained even the slightest bit of benefit, so why are you leaving? Best quality true artifacts and high-grade true artifacts are just a few hundred of them, and those pills from before are also quite good, you can also give me some of them." The flickering shadow's voice almost sounded like it was about to cry, as it hurriedly spoke up, "Those are just illusions of the power of karma, although they are the same as the real thing, but they are not real. Besides, you don't even like these things." Ning Cheng just gave a snort, as he casually picked up his own 9-colored mirage stone, and spoke, "If I don't like it, then why can't I just give it to someone else? You brought me here, it is equivalent to sowing the karma, but now you do not have the karma to give to me, as such you can do as you see fit." Speaking till here, Ning Cheng suddenly thought of something, as he hurriedly sent out a sound transmission, "You can leave now, wait for me to get some good things, then bury those things in, and just bury them deep underground, I will come back to get them in the future. As long as you can get some good things and bury them here, then I will consider it as you settling the karma between us." Ning Cheng thought that if this flickering shadow gave him some good things, and the cultivators in this place came to know about it, then wouldn't it be terrible? Although he did not believe that this old fart did not have any good things, but he also did not dare to excessively force this flickering shadow. In case he provoked the opposite party to the point of recklessness, then it would not be good for him. Chapter 278. Ning Chang's sound transmission had just fallen, when all the cultivators in the main hall felt a burst of emptiness, and then everyone fell down like dumplings. The ice house was gone, the huge cauldron and the magnificent main hall were also gone. The surroundings were still desolate, there were potholes everywhere, and there were broken pieces of magical weapons everywhere. But everyone was clear that they had finally come out of that terrible ice house. Some of the cultivators were so excited that they knelt on the ground. Many of them were very clear that if they had stayed for a few more days, then they would not have been able to come out. Many of the cultivators came forward to thank Ning Cheng, some of them even wanted to take out spirit stones and pills to give to Ning Cheng. However, thinking of Ning Cheng washing his hands with the spiritual enhancement True Nectar, as well as the 9-colored Mirage Stone, they forcibly resisted the idea. Sun Hanrui suddenly sent a sound transmission to Ning Cheng, "Senior apprentice brother Ning, everyone saw you washing your hands with the spiritual enhancement True Nectar, you have to pay attention to it." Ning Cheng was surprised in his heart, he obviously did not see anyone else. The spiritual enhancement True Nectar was of no importance to that old fogey, but it was not an insignificant matter to other cultivators. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng felt that he had let that old fogey off too easily. That old fogey actually broadcasted him, that son of a bitch. Elder brother Ning, many thanks for your life-saving grace. I am a disciple of the Heavenly Tao Academy, Li Ling Fan. In the future when Elder Brother Ning comes to my Heavenly Tao Academy, this Li Ling Fan will definitely welcome you. A young man at the Great Circle of the Soul Essence Realm came in front of Ning Cheng and cupped his fists in thanks, showing a very grateful expression. Previously, when they were still in the ice house, Sun Hanrui had whispered to Ning Cheng, he should have heard it, and thus called him Elder Brother Ning. Liang Kersen knew that Ning Cheng did not know much about these academies, and quickly sent a sound transmission to Ning Cheng. The Heavenly Tao Academy is one of the top 10 academies in the Tian continent, and is even ranked above the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Ning Cheng quickly cupped his fists and politely spoke, I was lucky to save senior apprentice Brother Li, maybe one day I will really go to the Heavenly Tao Academy to disturb you. I, Kong Cheng, did not expect to be saved by a profound core cultivator. Many thanks, Elder Brother Ning, although your cultivation is lower than mine, but you still saved my life, Kong Cheng's life. From now on, you will be my friend. A rough-looking man walked over in a few steps and cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng to thank him. Xin Hai quickly stepped forward and spoke, Elder Brother Ning, Senior Apprentice Brother Kong Cheng is a true inheriting disciple of my star-gathering mansion. This time you not only saved Senior Apprentice Brother Kong Cheng but also saved me. I really have to thank you. I even said that I would help you. I really overestimated myself. After Ning Cheng and Kong Cheng exchanged a few polite words, he patted Xin Hai's shoulder and spoke, Elder Brother Xin, you don't have to be so polite. Before you really wanted to help me, I know it in my heart. It was just a coincidence that I saved you. Senior Apprentice Brother Ning, the Floating Snow Palace's Zhong Nianyun thanks you for saving my life. In the future, if Brother Ning has the time to visit the Floating Snow Palace, Nianyun will definitely treat you as a distinguished guest. Another grateful voice sounded. This time, it was a shy and beautiful young female cultivator with a cultivation of Essence Soul Realm's 6th level. Liang Kersen's voice arrived just in time, Senior Apprentice Brother Ning, the Floating Snow Palace is also one of the top 10 academies of the Tian continent. Ning Cheng quickly returned the courtesy, he felt that saving these people was not without any benefits. Regardless of whether the gratitude was sincere or not, at least he could make more friends. For a time, more and more cultivators came to thank Ning Cheng. At this time, 7 or 8 shadows quickly landed on the periphery of the crowd. Why did you all suddenly appear? What the hell happened here? The one who spoke was an old man with a red face. Ning Cheng took a look at this old man and immediately knew that he was a crucible transformation cultivator. At the same time, Ning Cheng also saw the 5 cultivators that he had met before. They had the same puzzled look on their faces, but at the same time, they were also a bit surprised. Although because of the sudden appearance of this ancient immortal cave, more than 1,000 cultivators from various places had perished, but more than half of the elites from the major academies who had come here to complete the mission were still alive. Li Lingfan, who was the first to come forward to thank Ning Cheng, was the first to stand up, as he bowed and spoke, replying to Elder Yong, that ancient immortal cave is a magical weapon belonging to a life essence. That life essence placed this magical weapon here, in order to capture the souls of cultivators below the soul essence realm and devour them. In order to restore his cultivation. Fortunately, this time Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's junior apprentice brother Ning saved all of us, and scared away that life essence. Li Lingfan addressed Ning Cheng as elder brother Ning, while addressing him as junior apprentice brother Ning in front of this old man was not contradictory. He addressed Ning Cheng as Brother Ning to thank Ning Cheng for his life-saving grace. It was an honorific title. The reason why he addressed Ning Cheng as junior apprentice Brother Ning was because Ning Cheng's cultivation was lower than his, and he and Ning Cheng were not from the same academy. The several old men on hearing Li Lingfan's words, originally had a lot of questions to ask, but when they heard the last sentence, all of them immediately focused their gazes on Ning Cheng. Did you save all the cultivators here? The several crucible transformation elders stared at Ning Cheng and asked in unison. Ning Cheng knew that he had to find a reason for this matter. Now that several crucible transformation elders were asking him at the same time, he did not dare to show even half a shred of neglect, as he quickly stepped forward and bowed before speaking. Yes, it is because this immortal cave was left behind by an ancient life essence. This life essence is nourishing itself inside a huge cauldron. As senior apprentice brother Li said a moment ago, this life essence is still far from recovering, as such it can only devour the souls of us cultivators with lower cultivations to nourish itself. Even if that is the case, this life essence can easily devour the souls of all of you, so how were you able to save everyone? This time it was the beautiful woman from the star-gathering mansion who stared at Ning Cheng and asked a question. Ning Cheng quickly spoke about the things inside the immortal cave, including the ice house, as well as the virtual magical weapons and pills, as well as the karma house and so on. So to say, that life essence was forced by karma, as such it wanted the cultivators who went in to take the magical weapons first, before starting? Another crucible transformation cultivator asked. This crucible transformation cultivator's complexion was a bit pale, as if he was a sick man, as such the tone of his question made Ning Cheng feel uncomfortable. I guess that is the case, but I am not very clear about the specifics. Ning Cheng replied cautiously. This sickly-looking crucible transformation cultivator still stared at Ning Cheng and asked, the other cultivators fell into its trap, why did you not fall into its trap? Why did you force the life essence to retreat? Because I have a 9-colored mirage stone, as such I did not fall into its trap. As for why the life essence retreated, I guess that it was not able to obtain karma from me. Ning Cheng was very dissatisfied with the tone of the other party's question. Although he answered the other party's question, but he still felt uncomfortable in his heart. He was the one who saved those people, how could he treat his benefactor with such an attitude? This sickly-looking man sneered, does a 9-colored mirage stone also have such an effect? How come I did not know about it? This time Ning Cheng simply did not bother to answer, who did this guy think he was, to act as if he was some kind of criminal, making him look like a criminal. Tell me in detail about the process of using the mirage stone, are there any other secrets that you have not spoken out? This sickly-looking crucible transformation cultivator was obviously not satisfied with Ning Cheng's answer, causing his tone to turn even more severe. Ning Cheng's temper flared up, as he immediately sneered, who are you? Why are you trying to control my head? I am from the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect, the cultivators here were all saved by me, I do not expect some white-eyed wolf to thank me. What method I used to not be disturbed, it is none of your business, if I don't want to say it, then what can you do about it? He did not know which academy this sickly-looking man belonged to, but he was sure that among the people he saved, there was at least one disciple from this academy. Not only did this person not thank him, but even relying on his high cultivation, he even used an interrogative tone to question him. Want to ask him about his secrets? Don't even dream about it. Little bastard, you are courting death. The sickly-looking man's entire body was overflowing with murderous intent, as he raised his hand towards Ning Qing to grab him. At this moment, Ning Qing immediately felt that the surroundings had been sealed up, he could not even move a single muscle. Ning Qing was secretly shocked in his heart, what a powerful cultivation. Bang! At the same time, another hand stretched out, blocking the sickly-looking man's hand that was about to grab Ning Qing. The surging true essence immediately blasted a huge crater in the distance. Since when did my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's disciples need to be taught a lesson by the Red Star Sword faction? Could it be that your Red Star Sword faction has already unified the entire Tian continent? A disdainful voice arrived. Ning Qing knew that his guess was not wrong, it was the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's elder Bei. Such a disrespectful profound core little bastard, is it not enough for me to teach him a lesson? Bei Youfa, aren't you a bit too protective? The sickly-looking man still felt indignant. Ning Qing sneered, old bastard, you better stop pretending in front of this young master, don't take yourself seriously. I do not know what kind of academy the Red Star Sword faction is, but for such an ungrateful trash like you, I can also imagine it. Not to mention that I, your grandfather, do not have any secrets, even if I did have secrets, what does it have to do with an old bastard like you? Why don't you tell me about your secrets? Idiot, you have lived your entire life like a dog. Although the sickly-looking man's cultivation and strength were many times stronger than Ning Cheng's, but when it came to scolding and debating, even if he was multiplied by 1,000, he still would not be Ning Cheng's opponent. Being scolded by Ning Cheng in such a manner, he suddenly trembled with anger, while his face turned even paler. However, he also knew that with Bei Youfa here, he would not be able to do anything to Ning Cheng. Bei Youfa was secretly happy in his heart, but on the surface, he calmly spoke to Ning Cheng, Ning Cheng, although there are some people who deserve to be scolded, but your cultivation is still too low, as such you have to pay attention to etiquette. In the future, if you have the opportunity, you must go to the Red Star Sword faction and explain everything clearly. Yes, I understand. How could Ning Cheng not know when to stop? The reason why he scolded people was not only to vent his anger, but also to block the mouths of the other Crucible Transformation cultivators, so that these Crucible Transformation cultivators would not be able to interrogate him one by one. Once he returned to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, with this reward, he would be able to go to the small spiritual domain to cultivate. As for what happened outside, it was none of his business. Fellow Taoists, please be the judge, a puny profound core ant unexpectedly has no manners. This sickly-looking man from the Red Star Sword faction was obviously unable to calm down his anger. Well, let's not talk too much. Besides, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Ning Cheng has put in a lot of effort this time, saving so many of our academy's elite disciples, we should not treat him like a criminal and interrogate him. A slightly thinner cultivator came forward and spoke. The rest of the Crucible Transformation cultivators also spoke a few words in support of Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng had saved so many of their elite disciples, so which of the elders here would not be happy about it? These elders really were the same as what Ning Cheng had guessed. No one continued to ask Ning Cheng why he was able to resist the temptation, and one after another invited Ning Cheng to their academy as a guest. Whether it was an invitation with good intentions, or an invitation with bad intentions, Ning Cheng declined them one by one. His strength was already quite poor, but now that he had the contribution points, it was time for him to cultivate. How could he go to other academies and waste his time, and even find himself in danger? Chapter 279. Although the major sects did not obtain any benefits, the matter of the ancient immortal cave was finally resolved. Moreover, the elite disciples of the sects did not die. At the same time, he also learned that there was indeed such an ancient cave dwelling. However, this ancient cave dwelling had an owner. Not everyone could casually take it away. Ning Cheng and the other disciples of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect followed the Crucible Transformation elder Bei Youfa back to the academy. This time the number of soul essence disciples from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect that had fallen were not many, however the disciples below the soul essence realm were only Liang Kersen and Feng Zhen. Junior apprentice brother Ning, we did not have the opportunity to thank you before, so this time we specifically came here to thank you. If it wasn't for you, none of us true disciples and core disciples would have been able to return. While Ning Cheng and Liang Kersen were chatting, Ke Hongshui and Luo Zian, along with a group of disciples, specifically came to thank Ning Cheng. We're all from the same sect, it's just a small matter. It's not worth mentioning. Ning Cheng quickly spoke up in a polite manner. He still needed to cultivate in the Rainbow Fall Sword sect for a long time, as such he would certainly not mind making a few more friends. Luo Zian gave a sweet smile and spoke, it might be a trivial matter for you, but it is not a trivial matter for us. In any case, in the future, if you need any help from me in the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, you can always come to the Flying Swallow Sword Peak to find me. Saying that, Luo Zian once again took out a jade card and handed it to Ning Cheng and spoke, I heard from junior apprentice sister Hanrui that you want to go to the small spiritual domain to cultivate the most. I also have a cultivation jade card for a month, I will give it to you. Ning Cheng had only spoken a perfunctory and polite sentence, but now that Luo Zian took out the cultivation jade card for the small spiritual domain, he immediately became pleasantly surprised, as he quickly took the jade card and spoke, many thanks senior apprentice sister Zian, I really do lack this kind of jade card. It won't do if my cultivation is too low. He didn't think that he shouldn't take this jade pendant. It wasn't too much to ask for a jade pendant for saving his life. When Ke Hongshui saw this, he also quickly took out a small spiritual domain's cultivation jade card and handed it to Ning Cheng and spoke, I see that you have a lot of good things, and do not know what to give to thank you. I didn't expect you to like jade pendants. I also have one for a month. Me too. In just a short period of time, Ning Cheng unexpectedly managed to collect 4 cultivation jade cards for the small spiritual domain. Although they were all for a month's time, but adding up to a total of 4 months' time. Ning Cheng was overjoyed in his heart, he had not even gone to receive the rewards from the academy, and had already obtained 4 jade cards. Once he went to receive the rewards, it would absolutely be a bumper harvest. Because he had the jade card to communicate with them, Ning Cheng had a very good impression of these senior apprentice brothers and senior apprentice sisters whom he had saved. At least these people were not like the people he had met in the law's way. Now that they had a common language, the more they chatted, the happier they became. At the same time, Ning Cheng also chatted with these people from the same sect, and learned more information about the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Cultivating in the small spiritual domain did not mean that the deeper one went the better it would be, but rather one had to find a suitable place for oneself. These places were similar to the blue stone that Ning Cheng had chosen before. There were a variety of stones in the small spiritual domain. Once one found a stone that was the most suitable for them to absorb the spiritual qi, then it would truly be a great harvest for them. However, the cultivation jade cards in the small spiritual domain were very precious, as such only a few people would spend a lot of time looking for this kind of stone. This was because even if one were to sit down and cultivate in a random place, it would be countless times faster than outside. What was even more important was that cultivating in the small spiritual domain was not an endless process. The spiritual qi in the small spiritual domain was too heavy on the yang qi. Once one cultivated to a certain extent, one would have to stop cultivating, otherwise the yang qi would incinerate one's body and cause one to perish. Hearing this news, Ning Cheng immediately asked in amazement, but I went in to cultivate for 3 months, how come nothing happened to me? Ke Hongshui smiled and spoke, you have to cultivate to a certain extent, you are just a profound core cultivator, you would not be able to feel it. Even we would not be able to feel it, only after reaching the soul sculpting realm would we be able to clearly feel it. Ning Cheng finally understood, no wonder he did not see any powerful characters cultivating in the small spiritual domain, it turned out that there was such a side effect. Is there any solution? Ning Cheng quickly asked. The reason why he joined the Rainbow Fall Sword sect was for the small spiritual domain. Now that he could not cultivate in the small spiritual domain, wouldn't it be akin to losing his life? It is not that there is no solution, you can find a Tao companion for dual cultivation, to harmonize the yin and yang of each other. You can also find some extremely yin-type spiritual medicines. But these are not the best solutions, and the effects are also limited. Ke Hung Shui explained in a very detailed manner. Luo Xian suddenly interjected, the best way is to go to the Floating Snow Palace's refining snow and ice domain. If you can cultivate in the small spiritual domain for a period of time, and then go to the refining snow and ice domain to cultivate for a period of time, not only would there not be any problems, but it would also allow your cultivation to progress even more. Unfortunately, the refining snow and ice domain is the domain of the Floating Snow Palace, as such outsiders are not able to enter. At this time, inside the airship's main cabin, Bei Youfa was leisurely sipping tea, when a voice suddenly arrived from outside the restriction. Disciple Wen Han requests an audience with Elder Bei. Come in. Bei Youfa waved his hand and removed the restriction on the door. What do you want? Bei Youfa looked at Wen Han coming in, and asked in a puzzled manner. Wen Han quickly gave a respectful bow, and then cautiously spoke, Elder Bei, Ning Qing definitely has a big secret on him. He can even use the spiritual enhancement True Nectar to wash his hands. Moreover, the 9-colored mirage stones are just like garbage in his eyes. The most important thing is that he was not even the slightest bit affected by the ancient immortal cave, and was not even affected by the countless magical weapons. What do you want to say? Elder Bei put down the cup in his hands, as he looked at Wen Han and lightly asked. Wen Han clenched his teeth and spoke, I think that junior apprentice brother Ning has made a great contribution this time, and should be rewarded by the academy. However, junior apprentice brother Ning should also report his own secrets to the academy in detail, so as to repay the academy's kindness in nurturing him. Elder Bei stared at Wen Han sarcastically and spoke, I heard that Ning Cheng had only joined the academy for a total of 3 months. Where did this kindness in nurturing him come from? Besides, my Rainbow Fall Sword sect advocates that the disciples have their own secrets. Not to say about Ning Cheng, even my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's true inheriting disciples, core disciples, and even the elders, how many of them do not have their own secrets? Wen Han, if I asked you to hand over your secrets to the academy, what would you do? Do not learn from that Red Star Sword faction's Tang Gongxi. As a person, you must learn to be grateful, only then can you climb to a higher peak. You have good qualifications, do not ruin yourself. Well, you can go now. Wen Han's face alternated between blue and red, as he respectfully spoke, yes, this junior understands. Saying that, he carefully retreated. Elder Bei shook his head, and gave out a sigh. He could see that Wen Han was not very fond of Ning Cheng. It was obvious that Wen Han would definitely not give up. In the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, with the disputes between the disciples, he could only take a roundabout approach, and could not directly intervene. If one had to say who was in the limelight in the Rainbow Fall Sword sect recently, then it would definitely be Ning Cheng without a doubt. Ning Cheng, as a cultivator who had just entered the sect a few months ago, dared to take on the incomparably dangerous 17th Academy mission. Not only that, this cultivator who had just entered the inner sect also successfully completed the mission, saving more than a dozen academies and more than 100 elite disciples. For a time, his grace spread across half of the Tian continent, causing his reputation to soar. At this moment, every corner of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect was filled with legends about Ning Cheng. Did you know, senior apprentice brother Ning Cheng broke into the ancient immortal mansion by himself, and saved more than 100 elite disciples from the major academies. Elder Bei personally brought senior apprentice brother Ning to receive the academy's reward. Even Deputy Academy head Tantai came out to meet Ning Cheng. Of course I know about this matter, moreover the major academies are very grateful to senior apprentice brother Ning Cheng. I heard that he is about to become a true inheriting disciple. Senior apprentice brother Ning is originally a soul essence cultivator, it's just that he suppressed his cultivation, as such becoming a true inheriting disciple is also a matter of course. No, I heard that senior apprentice brother Ning Cheng is a rogue cultivator in the soul sculpting realm. In that ancient immortal mansion, he suddenly unlocked the seal on his cultivation, and even killed the evil cultivators who were locking the disciples. What? Cultivators above the soul essence realm simply cannot enter that ancient immortal mansion. Don't talk nonsense. That Ning Cheng is just a profound core first-level cultivator. It was only because he was able to resist the temptation of the immortal mansion. I want to tell you some real news. The Severing Emotions Tao sect and the Floating Snow Palace have both come to my Rainbow Fall Sword sect to discuss marriage. They want to marry off their outstanding true inheriting disciples to Ning Cheng. I heard that. You are talking nonsense. According to what you said, Ning Cheng is only at the profound core first level, while the outstanding true inheriting disciples of the Severing Emotions Tao sect and the Floating Snow Palace are at least at the late stages of the soul essence realm. Would they take the initiative to come to propose marriage? Hee, do you know how rich Ning Cheng is? He has the thing that the Severing Emotions Tao sect and the Floating Snow Palace need the most. Forget it, even if I told you, you would not understand. This cultivator just gave a smile, turned around and no longer participated in the discussion, and soon left the place. Ning Cheng, who was being enthusiastically discussed by the people, at this time once again arrived at the small spiritual domain. Elder Bei was very good to Ning Cheng. Not only did he personally bring Ning Cheng to receive the Academy's reward, when he knew that Ning Cheng needed the cultivation jade card for the small spiritual domain, he even took the initiative to give Ning Cheng 3 months' worth of cultivation jade cards. Ning Cheng returned the favor, and also sent 3 bottles of spiritual enhancement true nectar to Elder Bei. Although the spiritual enhancement true nectar had been exposed, Ning Cheng still felt that he could not send too much at once. At this time, even if Ning Cheng did not use the 1,000,000 contribution points, he would still have 19 months of cultivation time in the small spiritual domain. Although the Rainbow Fall Sword sect did not obtain any benefits from the Great Liang True Country's Academy assignment, but the Rainbow Fall Sword sect still showed its imposing manner without a doubt. Not only did they reward Ning Cheng, but all the cultivators who went were also rewarded with a month's worth of cultivation time in the small spiritual domain. Liang Kersen also received a month's worth of cultivation time. Even if Liang Kersen repeatedly said that a month's worth of time was more than enough, Ning Cheng still returned the jade card that he owed Liang Kersen to her. With 18 months of cultivation time, Ning Cheng was not in a hurry to cultivate inside the small spiritual domain. He wanted to look for a place with the most abundant spiritual qi. After wasting 4 days of time, Ning Cheng finally chose a piece of white stone. After choosing a place to cultivate, Ning Cheng once again leisurely arranged a variety of array formations. He decided to cultivate in this place until he reached the great circle of the profound core realm before going out. If not for the fact that he could not cross the tribulation inside the small spiritual domain, he had intended to use up the entire 18 months of time. Chapter 280. In the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's welcoming hall, an old man was accompanying a beautiful woman in conversation. In addition to this old man, there was also a middle-aged Confucian scholar accompanying them. Junior apprentice Brother Bei, you and Ning Cheng are a bit more familiar, why don't you explain it to Palace Master Sang? The old man sitting on the main seat looked at the middle-aged Confucian scholar and spoke with a smile. This old man was one of the 3 deputy sect masters of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, Tan Tai Fei. But the palace master Sang he spoke about was actually the Floating Snow Palace's 7th palace master Sang Jieju. The middle-aged Confucian scholar was obviously the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Elder Bei Youfa, who was very optimistic about Ning Cheng. Elder Bei hesitated for a moment before asking, Palace Master Sang, although Ning Cheng was lucky enough to do something this time, but his cultivation is just too low, only at profound core first level. Floating Snow Palace's core disciples are already at the soul essence realm. As for the true inheriting disciples, their cultivation is even higher. Moreover, the female disciples of the Floating Snow Palace are all fairies from the mortal world. How could they even take a fancy to a puny inner sect disciple of my Rainbow Fall Sword sect? Moreover, why would Palace Master Sang personally come to my Rainbow Fall Sword sect? Sang Jieju gave a faint smile and spoke, Ning Cheng has great potential, although he only has the cultivation of profound core first level, I believe that with his ability, he would soon be groomed by the academy. The Rainbow Fall Sword sect's small spiritual domain is famous throughout the world. For Ning Cheng to advance to the Soul Essence realm, it would not take much time. The Rainbow Fall Sword sect's deputy sect master Tantai Fei on hearing this gave a wry smile and spoke, in the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, to use the small spiritual domain, even if one's background is great, one would still need to make contributions to the academy. Besides, the small spiritual domain is not omnipotent. Sang Jieju did not care about it, and still spoke with a smile. After the Floating Snow Palace's true inheriting disciple Zhong Nianyan went back and spoke about Ning Cheng's matter, many of the Floating Snow Palace's female disciples were very appreciative of him. With Ning Cheng's bright future, perhaps he would soon become a true inheriting disciple. My Floating Snow Palace naturally would not mistreat him. Yin Kong Chan is one of the most outstanding disciples of my Floating Snow Palace. I believe that with her appearance and qualifications, she would barely be able to match Ning Cheng. Yin Kong Chan. Palace Master sang, are you talking about Yin Kong Chan who obtained the 9th place in the Great Meet of the 10 Major Academies Soul Essence Disciples a few years ago? Bei Youfa asked in disbelief. Yin Kong Chan already had the cultivation of the Great Circle of the Soul Essence realm a few years ago, as such she might even be a cultivator in the soul sculpting realm by now. Moreover, Yin Kong Chan's appearance was definitely not inferior to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Luo Xian, this kind of outstanding disciple with a limitless future. How could she just barely be worthy of Ning Cheng? Ning Cheng was simply not worthy of such a person, but why would the Floating Snow Palace give such an outstanding disciple to Ning Cheng? And through a marriage between the two sects. That's right. A few years ago, in the Great Meet of the Soul Essence Disciples of the 10 Major Academies, Kong Chan indeed won the 9th place. Sang Jieju spoke in a casual manner. Bei Youfa and the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's deputy sect master glanced at each other, before he turned to Sang Jieju and spoke. Palace Master sang, Ning Cheng immediately went into seclusion in the small spiritual domain to cultivate after coming back. As such we are unable to make a decision on our own. We will need him to come out of seclusion before we can answer you. Of course, since it is related to martial nephew Ning Cheng's matter, then of course he would need to personally agree to it. Sang Jieju replied in a very considerate manner. After saying that, she was just about to ask Ning Cheng when he would come out of seclusion, when Tantai Fei suddenly spoke up, what kind of good day is it today, for the elders of the Severing Emotions Dao sect to also come to my Rainbow Fall Sword sect? Tantai Fei stood up and spoke to Sang Jieju in an apologetic manner. Palace Master sang, I'll go pick up the elders. Sang Jieju did not care about it at all, and spoke with a smile, maybe I know the reason for Senior Apprentice Sister Cheunghua's visit. Sect Master Tantai can directly go and greet her. I have not seen Senior Apprentice Sister Cheunghua for a long time. Why don't we invite Senior Apprentice Sister Cheunghua here to reminisce about the old days? Tantai Fei had no choice but to nod in agreement. He knew that although Sang Jieju's words were pleasant to hear, the fact was that the Floating Snow Palace and the Severing Emotions Dao sect had a very big enmity between them. In just a short time, Tantai Fei came in with a woman wearing a white robe. This woman had a cold face, wore a simple bun for female cultivators, and carried a long sword on her back. After this woman came in, she saw that Sang Jieju was also present, causing her to be slightly surprised for a moment. However, she immediately recovered and cupped her fists towards Bei Youfa and spoke, Severing Emotions Dao Sect's Grandmaster Cheunghua greets Senior Apprentice Brother Bei. Hee, Senior Apprentice Sister Cheunghua is getting more and more beautiful, even I feel my heart beating endlessly. Although Shi Cheunghua did not take the initiative to greet Sang Jieju, but Sang Jieju took the initiative to greet Shi Cheunghua. What she said was not wrong, although Shi Cheunghua had a cold expression, but she was absolutely beautiful. Her appearance was delicate and refined, just like her name, it was comparable to jade. Just by standing there, it was as if she was wrapped in a light cloud, making people who saw her feel ashamed of their inferiority. I do not dare, Junior Apprentice Sister Sang is not necessarily ugly. Shi Cheunghua spoke in a flat tone, as if there was no taste in her words. Seeing that the two of them did not seem to agree with each other, Elder Bei quickly invited Shi Qianghua to sit down, while simultaneously pouring a cup of high-quality spiritual tea for Shi Qianghua. After Shi Qianghua took a sip of the spiritual tea, Elder Bei politely asked, "For Elder Shi to grace the Rainbow Fall Sword sect with your presence, it is an honor for my Rainbow Fall Sword sect." Shi Qianghua still spoke in a flat tone, "I came here for a matter. I don't know if your noble academy's Ning Cheng is here." As soon as Ning Cheng came back, he immediately went into seclusion in the small spiritual domain. It is estimated that he will not come out for a short period of time. Elder Bei quickly replied, he vaguely felt that the purpose of this Shi Qianghua and Sang Jiezhu might be similar. Sure enough, Shi Qianghua slightly frowned, before continuing, "Ning Cheng's cultivation is indeed a bit low. Being able to go into seclusion for cultivation is also a good thing." Tan Tai Fei could not help but speak up, "Is it possible that Elder Shi knows Ning Cheng?" Shi Qianghua immediately spoke up, "I do not know Ning Cheng, but this time Ning Cheng saved my Severing Emotions Dao sect's true inheriting disciples Su Yingdai and Bumei, as such I specifically came here to thank him. I also asked Bumei, and found that Ning Cheng is a good disciple. Moreover, my disciple Yingdai also has a good impression of Ning Cheng, as such I want to play the matchmaker between Ning Cheng and Yingdai. If Elder Bei agrees, then our two academies can form a marriage alliance." Sang Jiezhu gave a smile and spoke, "The Severing Emotions Dao sect actually started to talk about love. It really is a bit strange." Shi Qianghua frowned once again. Tan Tai Fei on seeing this quickly stopped in front of her and spoke, "On behalf of my academy's disciple Ning Cheng, I would like to thank the two of you for your love. But Ning Cheng is currently in seclusion, as such this matter would have to go through him personally. So be it, after Ning Cheng comes out of seclusion, I will let him personally go to the Floating Snow Palace and the Severing Emotions Dao sect to return the gift. In that case, then I will take my leave first." Shi Qianghua was incomparably straightforward. She came fast, but left even faster. Seeing Shi Qianghua walk away, Sang Jiezhu also stood up and spoke to Elder Bei with a smile, "I will also take my leave, but I will be waiting for apprentice nephew Ning Cheng at the academy." Elder Bei quickly agreed, "Seventh Palace Master can rest assured, after Ning Cheng comes out of seclusion, I will definitely let him go to the Floating Snow Palace." After sending off the Severing Emotions Dao sect's Shi Qianghua and the Floating Snow Palace's Sang Jiezhu, Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Elder Bei asked, "Senior Apprentice Brother Tantai, do you think the words spoken by Shi Qianghua and Sang Jiezhu are true? This matter is just too weird. Ning Cheng is just an inner sect disciple. Is it really necessary to carry out a marriage between two academies?" Tan Tai Fei sneered, "Fart true, there is not even half of it. If I have not guessed wrong, then these two academies are eyeing Ning Cheng's things." Bei Youfa also spoke out with indignation, "Ning Cheng saved the life of their academy's disciple, yet they even schemed against Ning Cheng. They really cannot be a good person." Senior Apprentice Brother Tantai, if Ning Cheng really agreed to it, then I really do not know how they would deal with it. Would they snatch Ning Cheng's things and then kill Ning Cheng? I think that the Severing Emotions Dao sect and the Floating Snow Palace would not be so despicable, right? Tan Tai Fei shook his head and spoke, "That is not the case. These two academies are at least among the top 10 academies of the Tian continent. For the Severing Emotions Dao sect to want their disciples to become Dao companions with Ning Cheng, it is very easy to understand. If the Severing Emotions Dao sect wants to cultivate to the pinnacle, then they would have to fall in love, and then sever their emotions. To put it bluntly, Shi Qianghua is just here to find a puppet for the disciples under her sect. After the female disciples under her sect sever their emotions on Ning Cheng would then turn into a waste. Moreover, Ning Cheng not only has to send good things to others, but he would also have to act as a stepping stone for others. Since she found Ning Cheng, then it shows that the true inheriting disciple called Su Yingdai already has an impression of Ning Cheng, and can even fall in love with Ning Cheng. Oh, I knew that it would be like this, but this matter, the other elders of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect might really agree to it." Elder Bei sighed. Tan Tai Fei also sighed, "In fact, I would also agree to it." Although the Severing Emotions Dao sect's Shi Qianghua did not say it out loud, but I know that they would definitely give up the spirit stone mine that our Rainbow Fall Sword sect discovered together. Using a true inheriting disciple to sever her emotions, coupled with a 9-colored mirage stone, and also a certain amount of spiritual enhancement true nectar. The Severing Emotions Dao sect has already calculated this deal, they would definitely not suffer a loss. I will not agree to it. I have observed that Ning Cheng has an upright character. Although he has some spiritual enhancement true nectar, and even a 9-colored mirage stone, but these are all the disciples' own opportunities. Unless the disciples themselves are willing to contribute to the academy cannot take the initiative to deprive them. Bei Youfa immediately spoke. Tan Taifei waved his hand. This is not something that we can control. If the headmaster and the rest of the elders agree to it, then even if we oppose it, it would not be of any use. However, the headmaster is an upright person, and should not agree to it. However, the Floating Snow Palace wanting to marry their true inheriting disciple Yin Kongchan to Ning Cheng is somewhat beyond my expectations. If the Floating Snow Palace insists on marrying their disciple Yin Kongchan and Ning Cheng as Dao companions, then they would have a much bigger advantage compared to the Severing Emotions Dao sect. You mean to say that the Floating Snow Palace will provide the soul refining snow and ice domain, and let our Rainbow Fall Sword sect share it? Bei Youfa asked. I'm afraid that's the case. They probably have their eyes on Ning Cheng's 9-colored mirage stone and spiritual enhancement true nectar. It's just that I do not understand why they would choose Yin Kongchan. Tan Taifei nodded and replied. Bei Youfa gave a sigh. If that is the case, then there is no way for me to help Ning Cheng. I can only hope that he would go into seclusion in the small spiritual domain for a period of time. I know a thing or two about the Floating Snow Palace's Yin Kongchan, but Yin Kongchan wholeheartedly pursues the Dao. Even if she and Ning Cheng become Dao companions, I estimate that she would not really choose to dual cultivate with Ning Cheng. This matter might not be what we are guessing, there might even be a deeper reason behind it. These two academies, even if they wanted to scheme for Ning Cheng's Mirage Stone and Spiritual Enhancement True Nectar, it is reasonable to say that they would not come up with such a rotten idea. They definitely have countless ways to make Ning Cheng willingly take it out. Is there really another reason? Or is it something that our Rainbow Fall Sword sect does not know about? Tan Taifei muttered to himself. Chapter 281. Ning Cheng, who was cultivating in the small spiritual domain, was completely unaware of this. At this time he was once again in the process of crazily absorbing the spiritual qi of the small spiritual domain. The golden core in his core lake circulated rapidly. As the golden core gradually grew bigger, the layer of faint gold on its surface became clearer. Perhaps only Ning Cheng with his powerful meridians and cultivation method would be able to absorb the spiritual qi in such a crazy manner. If replaced by another cultivator, then even if they could absorb the spiritual qi in such a manner, they would definitely explode. Not to mention transforming the spirit qi into his own cultivation to strengthen his golden core. However, Ning Cheng was not affected in the slightest. It seemed that no matter how much spiritual qi came to him, he could consume it all, and then transform this spiritual qi into his own true essence. From the Profound Core first level to the Profound Core second level, there were almost no waves, as Ning Cheng immersed himself in this kind of crazy cultivation, as time passed by unconsciously. Junior Apprentice Sister Kursen, congratulations on advancing to the Soul Essence realm and becoming a core disciple. I really did not expect that you would actually use only 7 months to advance from a Profound Congealing 9th level cultivator to a Soul Essence 1st level cultivator. I estimate that I will soon be left behind by you. On a peak that pierced through the clouds, Sun Hanrui spoke to Liang Kursen in a joyful manner. This mountain peak was Liang Kursen's new immortal cave after she advanced to the Soul Essence realm and became a core disciple. Liang Kursen's face was also filled with happiness, but after listening to Sun Hanrui's congratulations, she shook her head and spoke, Senior Apprentice Sister Hanrui, I am well aware of my own situation, do not look at me advancing from the Profound Congealing 9th level to the Soul Essence 1st level in just 7 months. However, this has already consumed many years of accumulation. Now that I am at the Essence Soul Realm 1st level to the Essence Soul Realm 2nd level, it will take a lot more time than this. Senior sister is already at the 3rd level of the soul essence realm, I will definitely not be able to catch up. Liang Kursen was very clear that rather than saying that she had cultivated to the soul essence realm, it would be better to say that she had recovered to the soul essence realm. So many years of preparation, coupled with the mirage stones and spiritual enhancement true nectar that Ning Cheng had given her, even the 2 months of cultivation in the small spiritual domain, were all for the sake of restoring her cultivation. After this accumulation was used up, her cultivation would be the same as others, and she would slowly accumulate it again. Senior apprentice brother Ning has gone into seclusion in the small spiritual domain, and has not come out until now. I really don't know what his current cultivation is like. Sun Hanrui couldn't help but think that Ning Cheng and Liang Kursen had entered the Rainbow Fall Sword sect together. Since Sun Hanrui was already at the soul essence 1st level, then presumably Ning Cheng was not too far away from her. Liang Kursen smiled and spoke, Senior apprentice brother Ning still has nearly 20 months of cultivation time, I estimate that it will be a long time before he comes out. Senior sister Hanrui, I want to go to the sect to accept some missions. What about you? Sun Hanrui quickly spoke up, I was just about to talk to you about this matter, the Tian continent's great meet of the academies is about to begin. Our Rainbow Fall Sword sect also wants to participate, many of our disciples have already gone there. The disciples participating in this tournament are the elites of our academy, I want to go and have a look, if you want to go, then we can go together. The competition for the top 10 sects. Liang Kursen obviously did not know anything, when she heard about the Tian continent's great meet of the academies, she immediately understood. Sun Hanrui nodded, that's right, since many years ago when the Rainbow Fall Sword sect was squeezed out of the top 10 academies, it could only exist as a quasi-first-class academy, and was never able to squeeze into the ranks of the top 10 academies. This time my Rainbow Fall Sword sect has produced a lot of outstanding disciples, perhaps we can compete for it once. This time even the academy head has gone there, moreover there are also a lot of people from the academy. Senior apprentice sister Hanrui, are you not going to participate? Liang Kursen quickly asked. Sun Hanrui gave a wry smile and spoke, I only have the cultivation of soul essence 3rd level, moreover my strength is also very ordinary in the academy, how can I represent the academy to participate in this tournament? If we go and take a look at the other people's understanding of magical techniques, then it would definitely be of great benefit. Besides, the Tian continent's great meet of the academies is always very lively, with all kinds of heavenly materials and earthly treasures gathered together. Maybe we can even buy some good things there. Of course I want to go, where is the great meet of the academies taking place? Liang Kursen quickly spoke up. In the Heavenly Dao Academy's Heavenly Dao Public Square, the Rainbow Fall Makeshift Market has a large airship that goes directly to the Heavenly Dao Public Square. Even if we take a flight-type magical weapon to get there, it would only take a few days. Sun Hanrui replied. Liang Kursen immediately spoke up, of course I want to go, it's a pity that senior apprentice brother Ning has not come out of seclusion, otherwise with his temperament, he would definitely be the first to go. Do you know senior apprentice brother Ning very well? Sun Hanrui suddenly asked. Liang Kursen gave a wry smile and spoke, the fact is that I really do not know much about him, I have already told you about the process of getting to know him, it was only through a transaction. He is a very sentimental person, and would not let his friends suffer losses, I feel that he is very trustworthy. Do you think that a person like Ning Cheng already has a Dao companion? Sun Hanrui suddenly asked an irrelevant question. Liang Kursen was surprised for a moment, she had never thought about this, she had only regarded Ning Cheng as a friend, and really did not think about the matter of Ning Cheng having a Dao companion. Now that Sun Hanrui asked this question, she was stunned for a moment, before she immediately asked in doubt, Senior apprentice sister Hanrui, do you have a favorable impression of Ning Cheng, and even want to become a Dao companion with him? Sun Hanrui's face immediately turned red, as she quickly explained, what are you thinking about? I just regard senior apprentice brother Ning as a friend. The reason why I asked this question, is because when senior apprentice brother Ning was in seclusion, there were some academies that came to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect to propose marriage to him. Senior apprentice brother Ning only has the cultivation of profound core realm, who would deliberately come to propose marriage in the form of an academy. Even if they wanted to propose it, they would not go through the academy, right? Liang Kursan also had a look of disbelief on her face. Sun Hanrue's complexion returned to normal, but she still did not understand and spoke. That's right, the Severing Emotions Dao sect and the Floating Snow Palace are among the top 10 academies of the Tian continent. Even if senior apprentice brother Ning's performance in the ancient immortal mansion was quite good, it would not be enough for these two academies to marry off a true inheriting disciple, right? She still had a sentence that she did not say, not to mention these two major academies. Even an ordinary core disciple of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect would not choose Ning Cheng, not to mention a true inheriting disciple. The Severing Emotions Dao sect and the Floating Snow Palace. Liang Kursan repeated the sentence in shock, and then suddenly spoke. I understand, these two academies must have taken a fancy to the things on senior apprentice brother Ning, they really are shameless. Sun Hanrue shook her head and spoke, not necessarily, even if Ning Cheng has many things on him, it would only be the Mirage Stones and the Spiritual Enhancement True Nectar. With the strength of these two academies, they would definitely be able to come and purchase them. There is simply no need for a marriage, there might be some other reason behind it. Liang Kursan suddenly giggled and spoke, forget it, these things are already decided by senior apprentice brother Ning. Besides, the true inheriting disciples of the Severing Emotions Dao sect and the Floating Snow Palace are also quite good, they are just barely worthy of senior apprentice brother Ning. Liang Kursan's words, even Sun Hanrue who did not laugh loudly could not help but laugh out loud. The Severing Emotions Dao sect and the Floating Snow Palace's true inheriting female disciples, how could they just barely be worthy of Ning Cheng? Ning Cheng was still in the small spiritual domain. After he stimulated his true essence to break through the barrier of the profound core 7th level, the crazily rotating golden core lake in his core lake suddenly burst into flames, as a horrifying pain crazily poured into Ning Cheng's consciousness. Poof! Ning Cheng directly spurted out a mouthful of hot blood. At this moment Ning Cheng felt his whole body weak, he even lost the strength to even truss a chicken. Moreover, he did not have the ability to extinguish the flames on his golden core, it was as if his golden core was not under his control. Not good, this was the result of the small spiritual domain absorbing too much spiritual qi, causing the yang qi to burn the body. Fortunately, Ning Cheng had heard a few of his senior apprentice brothers and senior apprentice sisters talk about it, as such he knew that the yang qi burning the body came from the inside out. In the end, if it was light, then he would lose his cultivation, if it was heavy, then even his corporeal body would disappear. At this time, Ning Cheng did not dare to continue absorbing the spiritual qi in this place for cultivation, he did not even dare to mobilize the mysterious yellow origin. The mysterious yellow origin was a kind of pure yang qi, if he mobilized it, then it would simply be like pouring oil on a volcano. Seeing that the thin flames on his golden core were about to completely cover his golden core, Ning Cheng simply could not do anything about it. He could only barely stimulate the Star River Formation to absorb these flames. He did not know if the Star River Formation could absorb these flames, but he simply did not have a better way. What made Ning Cheng incomparably surprised was that after he mobilized the Star River Formation, a force immediately swept over, completely swallowing up the flames on Ning Cheng's golden core. The brightness of his golden core dimmed a bit. Ning Cheng's cultivation that had just advanced to the profound core 7th level once again fell to the golden core 6th level. Although his cultivation did not rise but instead fell, but Ning Cheng still felt relieved. How could he dare to continue cultivating in this place? Feeling his true essence slowly recovering, Ning Cheng was secretly afraid in his heart. He knew that there were limitations to cultivating in the small spiritual domain. Once the yang qi burning body occurred, then it would be difficult to reverse the situation. But from what he had heard about the yang qi burning body, most of it happened in the great circle of the soul essence realm, or even cultivators in the soul sculpting realm and above. Even soul essence cultivators rarely encountered such a situation, so why would his profound core 7th level yang qi burning body occur? Calculating the time, he found that he had only cultivated for a little more than 7 months, not even 8 months. Originally he had intended to cultivate until he reached the great circle of the profound core realm, but now it seemed that it was simply impossible. If he wanted to continue cultivating in this place, then he would have to find a way to curb the yang qi burning body. Fortunately, he still had the Star River seed, otherwise, how would he be able to extinguish the spontaneous combustion of his golden core? There is never a perfect thing. Ning Qing stood up, as he helplessly muttered to himself, "Fortunately, I still have the Star River seed." Ha! When Ning Qing spoke about the Star River seed, he found that the Star River seed in his zifu, because it had absorbed a trace of the golden core flame, unexpectedly had a pale golden trace on it, as if it was about to break out of its shell. Suddenly a crazy idea emerged in Ning Cheng's heart: could he continue cultivating, and then let his golden core burn again, and then let the Star River seed absorb the flames from his golden core? Crazy? Ning Cheng immediately put an end to his own idea. Even if this method could let his Star River seed break out of its shell, but his golden core would definitely be finished. Besides, how could he bear that kind of inhuman pain? "I can't continue cultivating in the small spiritual domain," Ning Cheng sighed. Unfortunately he still had nearly a year's time. Forget it, everything has a limit. Moreover, even if the yang qi burning body did not occur, he would have to leave the small spiritual domain soon. To advance to the soul essence realm, he would have to face the soul essence thunder tribulation. Moreover, Ning Cheng also knew that with his qualifications, if he wanted to advance to the soul essence realm, then without the soul condensing pill, it would be absolutely impossible. He had to find the soul condensing pill, as well as prepare for the thunder tribulation. Chapter 282. You came out. Ning Cheng had just come out of the small spiritual domain, when the old man guarding the entrance of the small spiritual domain took the initiative to speak up. "Yes, Senior. Junior still has some time to use this jade talisman. Senior, please help me exchange it for a jade token. I will come back to cultivate in the future." Ning Cheng crushed a corner of the jade talisman in his hand and handed it to the old man. He was a bit surprised as to why this old man would take the initiative to greet him today. He had been here twice, and the old man usually did not take the initiative to greet him with such a tone. Besides, it took him more than 7 months to advance from the Profound Core 1st level to the Profound Core 6th level. For the cultivators cultivating in the small spiritual domain, this speed was not very fast, rather it was ridiculously slow. The old man very skillfully helped Ning Cheng exchange the 10 cultivation jade cards, and spoke. "Elder Bei is looking for you for a few things. He said that after you come out of seclusion, you can go to him." "Many thanks, Senior, this junior understands." After Ning Cheng put away the jade card, he quickly thanked the elder. Only then did he know that it was Elder Bei who had greeted him. Elder Bei was Bei Youfa, although Ning Cheng did not have any backing in the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, but if one had to talk about backing, then Elder Bei could also be regarded as his backing. The main reason was that Elder Bei was a very good person, and also appreciated Ning Cheng very much. Ning Cheng also had a lot of respect for this Elder Bei. If not for Elder Bei during the last mission, then he absolutely would not have been able to come back so easily. Moreover, he was even able to obtain a generous reward. Therefore, as soon as Ning Cheng came out of the small spiritual domain, he directly headed towards the distant Sword Peak. The far Sword Peak was the immortal cave that Elder Bei lived in, although Ning Cheng had not come here before, but he knew about the far Sword Peak. The distant Sword Peak was extremely ordinary, and it was even inferior to the cave residences of some direct disciples. From this distant Sword Peak, Ning Cheng could see that Elder Bei liked this kind of environment that was as ordinary as water. If there was anything different about this place, then as soon as Ning Cheng arrived here, he could feel a kind of scholarly aura. This kind of aura and Elder Bei's identity as a Confucian scholar was somewhat in line. But senior apprentice brother Ning Cheng came out. Ning Cheng had just arrived outside the distant Sword Peak's restriction when the restriction immediately opened. A youth dressed as a book boy stood inside the restriction and cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng. "Yes, I want to pay a visit to Elder Bei." Ning Cheng quickly replied in a polite manner. The youth took out a jade strip and handed it to Ning Cheng and spoke, "This is something that Elder Bei left for you. Elder Bei has already gone to the Heavenly Dao public square." "Thank you, junior brother." Ning Cheng received the jade strip and immediately left the Far Sword Peak. Since Elder Bei was not here, he would first return to the Washing Sword Peak. After returning to his residence, Ning Cheng first took out the jade strip that Elder Bei had given him. After looking through the jade strip, Ning Cheng shook his head speechlessly, before throwing the jade strip into his ring. He didn't take the things in the jade slip to heart at all. Why would the Severing Emotions Dao sect and the Floating Snow Palace's true inheriting female disciples take a fancy to him? He even came to the sect for a marriage alliance. Who was he trying to fool? Not to mention that Ning Cheng simply did not believe that these two female disciples from the academies would take a fancy to him. Even if he believed it, he would just treat it as if it was just a clump of air. Ning Cheng, who came from Earth, did not treat marriage as a child's play. He and the cultivators here had some differences, that is, marriage was a major event in life, and one could not be sloppy about it. What's more, he already had Ji Luofei. He and Ji Luofei had met each other in times of adversity. This kind of relationship was much more reliable compared to the other academies who fancied his spiritual enhancement True Nectar and Mirage Stones. No, Ning Cheng suddenly felt that his idea was a bit too simple. The Severing Emotions Dao sect and the Floating Snow Palace were academies that were even bigger than the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Would such academies take the initiative to initiate a marriage alliance just because of his spiritual enhancement True Nectar and Mirage Stones? Even if they wanted these things, wouldn't they be able to purchase them? Why would they use such a method that others would look down on? This matter should not be as simple as it looks on the surface. Ning Cheng rubbed his head, thinking for a long time but still could not come up with a reason. In the end, he directly patted his own head. This matter was obviously not taken to heart by the academy. If the academy had taken it to heart, then how could they have allowed Elder Bei to leave behind a jade strip for him after he came out of the academy? Since the academies did not take it to heart, then why should he worry about it? As for the message left behind by Elder Bei, suggesting him to go to the Severing Emotions Dao sect and the Floating Snow Palace, Ning Cheng directly ignored it. Even if the Floating Snow Palace had the soul refining snow and ice domain, Ning Cheng did not care about it. The reason why he suffered from the yang qi burning his body in the small spiritual domain was because he cultivated inside. If he did not cultivate inside, then this kind of thing would not happen again, so why would he go to the Floating Snow Palace? Moreover, if he went to the Floating Snow Palace, would he be able to use the soul-refining snow and ice domain? After putting aside the matters of the Floating Snow Palace and the Severing Emotions Dao sect, Ning Cheng was instead interested in the Tian continent's great meet of the academies that Elder Bei mentioned. For this great meet of the academies, almost all the elites of the Tian continent would be participating in it. As such, he did not know if there would be any soul condensing pills for sale. The soul condensing pill was a rank 7 pill. The main spiritual grasses used to refine it were the essence soul fruit and several other extremely precious spiritual objects. Currently Ning Cheng did not have the essence soul fruit, not to mention that even if Ning Cheng had this kind of spiritual object, he would not be able to refine a rank 7 pill. With his current level of alchemy, even if he refined a rank 5 profound pill, he would not be able to do so. Regardless of whether he could continue to cultivate in the small spiritual domain or not, the most important thing for him now was to find the soul condensing pill, while simultaneously preparing for the Thunder Tribulation. After Ning Cheng sorted out this information, he first went to the Academy Exchange Hall. He still had 1,000,000 contribution points. He wanted to see if he could use these contribution points to exchange for a soul condensing pill. If he could use these contribution points to exchange for a soul condensing pill, then he would not have to go around to buy them. Besides, if he wanted to buy a better soul condensing pill, then he might not necessarily have enough spirit stones. You want to exchange for a soul condensing pill? The steward responsible for the exchange of contribution points asked in a puzzled tone, and not waiting for Ning Cheng to answer, he spoke again. 200,000 contribution points. Is there really a soul condensing pill to exchange? Moreover, it is so cheap. Ning Cheng was pleasantly surprised as he took out his contribution point jade card. The steward responsible for the exchange simply did not take Ning Cheng's jade card, and only glanced at Ning Cheng, before he spoke in a light voice. I have not finished speaking. 200,000 contribution points, plus an essence soul fruit. Hearing the last 3 words, Ning Cheng almost cursed it out loud. He had the essence soul fruit, where else could he not exchange it for a soul condensing pill, and even came to the academy to exchange for it? Ning Cheng knew that there was no way for him to argue about this kind of thing. He did not even ask anything, as he put away the contribution point jade card and proceeded towards the method depository pavilion. Ning Cheng knew that most of the cultivators in charge of the method depository pavilion, as well as the ones in charge of the exchange, did not have a high cultivation. Most of them were older, and were unable to make any progress. But when Ning Cheng saw the long-eyebrowed old man in charge of the method depository pavilion, his heart immediately tightened. This long-eyebrowed old man looked very ordinary on the surface. At most he was a cultivator in the soul-sculpting realm. However, he had a vague feeling in his heart that this long-eyebrowed old man's cultivation was definitely much higher than Elder Bay's. This old man was at least a late-stage crucible transformation cultivator, or even higher. Senior, I want to go to the method depository pavilion to look for some information on the jade strips. Ning Cheng came forward and spoke in a very respectful manner. The long-eyebrowed old man who had been pondering over a tortoise shell in his hand suddenly raised his head, as he glanced at Ning Cheng, before he frowned. Ning Cheng was worried, when this old man suddenly spoke up. Look at the array formation display on the side. Hearing the words of this old man, Ning Cheng immediately noticed that there was an array formation display behind this old man. He then saw a variety of jade strips in the pavilion, the cultivation method pavilion's first floor, a day's worth of 100 contribution points, the cultivation method pavilion's second floor, a day's worth of 1,000 contribution points. What artifact crafting pavilion, alchemy pavilion? Ning Cheng casually looked around, and found that there were at least a few dozen pavilions. Moreover, each of these pavilions seemed to have many floors. This large academy really had a deep heritage. With so many jade strips, he did not know how long it would take for them to accumulate all of them. Ning Cheng quickly found the materials pavilion that he needed, and quickly spoke up. I want to go to the materials pavilion to look at some information. Put down 10,000 contribution points, and go in yourself. If you come out you will have to refund the amount you owe. The long-eyebrowed old man spoke in a flat tone. Ning Cheng quickly took out his contribution point jade card, and transferred out 10,000 contribution points. After Ning Cheng disappeared through the door, and entered the materials pavilion, this long-eyebrowed old man shook his head and spoke. A silk pants, to be able to use the small spiritual domain to cultivate to the Yang Qi burning body technique in the profound core's 6th level, it can be considered as the first. Moreover, there are also 1,000,000 contribution points. I don't know which bastard elder's descendant he is. It is simply a waste of resources. If you want to cultivate in the small spiritual domain, then the small spiritual domain would not be called the small spiritual domain, it might as well be called the heaven realm. Ning Cheng, who had already entered the materials pavilion, certainly did not know that he was being looked down upon as a rich second generation. At this time Ning Cheng was looking for all the information about the twin radiant heavenly cloud leaves on the jade strips. Although he knew some of the characteristics of the twin radiant heavenly cloud leaves, and even obtained a pair of them, moreover he had already refined them into the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. But Ning Cheng did not know anything about the advancement of the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, or even how to advance it. Now that he had obtained a pair of taintless silver wing feathers, he was even more eager to know how to advance the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. In any case, the more powerful the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, the more advantageous it would be for him. The materials pavilion had innumerable jade strips for all kinds of materials. Even with Ning Cheng's powerful spiritual consciousness, it still took him a full 3 days to find the introduction of the twin radiant heavenly cloud leaves in the most remote corner. After reading through this jade strip, Ning Cheng came to know just how rare the twin radiant heavenly cloud leaves were. But the introduction of the twin radiant heavenly cloud leaves on the jade strip was not very detailed. It only said that after the twin radiant heavenly cloud leaves were refined into the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, for each advancement, the wings would have one more ray of light. When the rays of light on the wings reached 6, the twin wings of the heavenly clouds would undergo a qualitative change. As for how the qualitative change would occur, there was no introduction. But there were some materials that could assist in the advancement of the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Even how to refine these materials into the twin wings of the heavenly clouds was also described in detail. After reading through the jade strip, Ning Qing already knew how to use the taintless silver wing feathers to advance the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Putting away the jade strip, Ning Qing quickly left the method depository pavilion. He wanted to go back and advance his twin wings of the heavenly clouds. After his twin wings of the heavenly clouds advanced, he would immediately go outside to see if he could obtain some spirit congealing pills. Chapter 283. After returning to the immortal cave, Ning Qing first took out the twin wings of the heavenly clouds and the taintless silver wing feathers. Ning Qing had already refined the twin wings of the heavenly clouds for a long time, as such his twin wings of the heavenly clouds now had a faint glow. He did not know that after refining this pair of taintless silver wing feathers, this faint glow would turn into 2. In accordance with the method of integrating the taintless silver wing feathers on the jade strip, Ning Qing refined the taintless silver wing feathers, and carefully integrated it into the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Wings and twin wings only had a difference of a single word. After refining the twin radiant heavenly cloud leaves, it would be called the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, but Ning Qing felt that calling it the twin wings of the heavenly clouds would be more appropriate. After all, the wings were grown on his body, but this pair of wings was refined from the twin radiant heavenly cloud leaves, and could be taken down at any time. It was equivalent to a flight-type magical weapon. What's more, now that he had refined the taintless silver wing feathers, this name was more appropriate than the wings. A few days later, when the taintless silver wing feathers in Ning Chang's hands gradually melted into the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, the 2 pieces of the twin wings of the heavenly clouds originally had a faint glow, but it was even softer than the previous glow. Ning Qing raised his hand, and the twin wings of the heavenly clouds instantly disappeared. He immediately felt the difference after the upgrade of the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Then with a slight flash, the next moment he unexpectedly appeared more than 10 feet away. So powerful, Ning Qing was pleasantly surprised in his heart. Buying this pair of taintless silver wing feathers was definitely the right choice. Even if he lost the geocentric 9-ene essence jade strip, it was still worth it. You want to buy soul condensing pills? A shop assistant from a pill house in the Rainbow Fall makeshift market stared at Ning Qing with wide eyes, seemingly thinking that he had heard wrong. Ning Qing immediately understood that the question he had just asked was somewhat inappropriate, and quickly spoke up. I want to buy soul condensing pills, but I also know that soul condensing pills are something that is very difficult to find. I would like to ask, where can I find soul condensing pills? The shop assistant's mouth hung a trace of a smile, and spoke with a teasing tone. If it was before, then it would really be very difficult to buy this pill, but now there must be a place that has it. That is the Heavenly Tao Public Square, the Heavenly Tao Public Square where the Great Meet of the Academies is held. The Great Meet would last for 3 months, but now it has only been less than a month. During this time, almost all the good things in the Tian continent would be gathered at the Heavenly Tao Public Square. If you go to that place, I guarantee you'll hear that the soul concentrating pill is on sale, hee. Ning Qing was able to understand the meaning behind the last 2 words of the shop assistant, that is, the Heavenly Tao Public Square was indeed selling soul condensing pills, but it was not something that a profound core 6th level cultivator like him could get his hands on. Although Ning Qing understood the meaning of this man, but he did not care about it at all. If he could find the soul condensing pill in the Rainbow Fall makeshift market, then he intended to look for a place to continue cultivating until he reached the great circle of the profound core realm, before preparing to attack the soul essence realm. Now that he discovered that the soul condensing pill was so precious, Ning Qing decided to follow his original plan and go to the Heavenly Tao Public Square. After purchasing a simple map of the Tian continent, Ning Qing left the Rainbow Fall makeshift market. The Heavenly Tao Public Square was not close to the Rainbow Fall makeshift market. Ning Qing estimated that with the speed of his twin wings of the heavenly clouds, it would take him at most 2 days to reach there. After Ning Cheng left the makeshift market, he did not bring out the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Instead, he brought out a low-grade airship spiritual artifact. With his powerful spiritual consciousness, he had just left the Rainbow Fall makeshift market when he realized that someone was following him. Ning Cheng was not afraid of tracking a cultivator that he was able to discover. Sure enough, after an hour, a pale red shadow suddenly rushed out and stopped in front of Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng landed on the airship, as he calmly stared at the figure in front of him and spoke, "Fu Xingnan, you are just like a dog's skin plaster sticking to me. Is it possible that you can't get married, so you want to look for me, a true inheriting disciple from the top 10 academies, a tall rich handsome man?" The red-robed female cultivator who stopped Ning Cheng was Fu Xingnan. Ning Cheng guessed that this woman definitely did not come to thank him, as his words were not even half a shred of politeness. Fu Xingnan did not know what a tall rich handsome man was, so it must have been a boast. Her face turned green and red for a moment, before she suddenly spoke, "Ning Cheng, although you did not take the initiative to save me, but looking at the fact that you saved me once, I will not haggle with you this time. I just want you to do one thing." Ning Cheng gave a chuckle and spoke, "You know that I saved you, yet you still want me to do one thing. Do you really feel that good about yourself? I really don't understand where your superiority comes from. Why don't your mother and father have this kind of superiority? It's just too weird." Fu Xingnan did not hear Ning Cheng calling her wild, as she suppressed her anger and spoke, "You better not get close to my little sister, that sissy, it would not be good for you. Whether I get close to my little sister or not, it's none of your business." Ning Cheng spoke with disdain. This woman had plotted against him, if not for Ning Cheng knowing that he could not start at this moment, coupled with the fact that the other party was Fu Xiaomei's little sister, perhaps he would have already started a fight with her. Good, you asked for it." Fu Xingnan was so angry that her entire body was trembling. After she spoke the word, "good," twice, she suddenly brought out a flight-type magical weapon, and instantly disappeared without a trace. Unexpectedly she did not even speak a single word to Ning Cheng. After Fu Xingnan left, Ning Cheng not only did not leave, but instead took out his profound break spear, while at the same time spoke in a cold voice, "Roll out, if you want to start then hurry up, don't hide your head and show your tail." Ning Cheng's voice had just fallen, when another shadow landed in front of Ning Cheng. It was also a female cultivator, wearing a green cultivator's robe, with a very unique hairstyle, which matched with her white face, made her look very beautiful. However, at this time this female cultivator was giving off a trace of murderous aura. It was obvious that she had come here to kill Ning Cheng. With her cultivation at Soul Essence 3rd level, if she wanted to kill Ning Cheng, then in theory, it would not be a problem for her. "You unexpectedly knew that I and Xingnan were following you. It seems like I underestimated you. Even if Xingnan did not join forces with me, if I wanted to kill you by myself, it would only take a breath of time." As this green-robed female cultivator finished speaking, her entire body overflowed with murderous aura, and in an instant, she was able to control the imposing manner in this space. Ning Cheng acted as if he did not feel this kind of terrifying and sharp murderous aura, and still spoke in a calm and unhurried manner, "I find it very strange. I don't even know you, so why do you want to kill me? Even if you want to die, you should at least give me a reason. Since you are already dead, then what reason do you need?" As the green-robed female cultivator spoke, she waved the long damask in her hands a few times. The color of the long damask was the same as the green robe she was wearing, both were green in color. With this sway, this green-robed female cultivator's entire person disappeared. In front of Ning Cheng, there were only green-colored sword lights. It seemed that every time this green damask swayed, the number of green-colored sword lights would increase by several times. Ning Cheng shook his profound break spear, causing the 36 profound ice spear shadows to similarly transform into a spear net, which instantly formed an ice-cold spear net that blocked the countless green-colored sword lights. When the ice-cold profound ice spear shadows and the green damask sword lights collided, Ning Cheng immediately realized that the other party's true essence was not as vigorous as his. He had already vaguely guessed who this female cultivator was, since he came out of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, then no one from the outside would know about it. This female cultivator and Fu Xingnan had come together to hunt him down, so she was definitely a person from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Moreover, this female cultivator was not someone called by Fu Xingnan to help her. If Fu Xingnan had called for help, then since Fu Xingnan had already left, there was no reason for this female cultivator to continue staying in this place. So Ning Qing did not need to guess at all, he already knew that this female cultivator was one of Wen Han's people. He guessed that Wen Han had gone to the Heavenly Dao public square, and this female cultivator had listened to Wen Han's instructions, and was specifically waiting for Ning Qing in this place. As long as one was a cultivator, they would be very clear that the gap between the soul essence realm and the profound core realm was absolutely not something that the gap between the profound core realm and the profound congealing realm could be compared to. At least in the I Ching mainland, a profound core realm cultivator who could block a soul essence cultivator was as rare as a phoenix feather or a unicorn horn. Moreover, such a rare profound core cultivator was at the great circle of the profound core realm. Ning Cheng, with his cultivation at intermediate stage profound core 6th level, to fight against this green-robed female cultivator at soul essence 3rd level, in anyone's opinion, it was simply an act of courting death. This green-robed female cultivator also gave a sneer, courting death. A profound core 6th level cultivator, unexpectedly dared to use a spear technique to block her green damask sword lights. If this was not courting death, then what was? If it was replaced by another profound core 6th level cultivator, then it would indeed be courting death. However, this kind of reasoning could not be applied to Ning Cheng, not to mention that Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness was already far stronger than the green-robed female cultivator. Even Ning Cheng's true essence was much more powerful than the other party. The only thing that Ning Cheng was not as good as the other party was that he had not yet condensed the embryonic form of his soul essence. As such, his true essence and spiritual consciousness were far inferior to the other party. However, Ning Cheng's fierceness lay in the fact that his spiritual consciousness had been tempered in the chaotic star space. As such, its intensity and degree of condensation was far stronger than that of this green-robed female cultivator. Pa 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 pa. The profound ice spear shadows and the green damask sword lights of the other party clashed together, causing an endless vortex of true essence to surge up. The countless green damask sword lights looked as if they had just been fried in a pan of oil, as they quickly withered and weakened. The green damask sword lights were dispersed by the explosion, while the green-robed female cultivator was also forced to continuously retreat under the onslaught of the terrifying and powerful spear shadows. As the ice-cold aura assaulted her, she unexpectedly suffered some minor injuries. How is this possible? The green-robed female cultivator was still in a state of shock as to how this was possible, when Ning Cheng's cosmic true devil axe had already arrived. At this moment, this green-robed female cultivator was looking down on him. How could Ning Cheng not seize the opportunity? A tearing and twisting axe trace directly cut through the distance between the green-robed female cultivator and Ning Cheng. Everything in front of the axe trace, even the air, was directly split into nothingness. Previously, the green-robed female cultivator had formed a formidable imposing aura with her soul essence cultivation, but under this terrifying axe trace, it had already turned into nothingness. Seeing an incomparably clear axe trace descending towards her glabella, she could even see the tiny axe lines around the axe trace. The green-robed female cultivator was immediately frightened out of her wits. How could she continue to think that Ning Cheng only had the cultivation of profound core 6th level? In a moment of desperation, she even began to burn her essence blood, as she instantly brought out a small cauldron. After bringing out this small cauldron, it immediately turned into a huge cauldron with a radius of nearly 10 feet, but not waiting for this cauldron to continue to expand its imposing aura, Ning Cheng's axe trace had already struck the top of the cauldron. Bang! A terrifying explosion erupted. The green-robed female cultivator, because she did not put Ning Cheng in her eyes, hastily brought out her defensive huge cauldron, causing her to spit out a mouthful of blood. The huge cauldron was struck by the cosmic true devil axe, causing an incomparably fast and tiny axe line to pass through the huge cauldron, before quickly cutting across the arm of the green-robed female cultivator. Chapter 284. Poof! A blood arrow splashed out, as Ning Cheng's axe line directly cut off one of the green-robed female cultivator's arms, causing it to fall off. The green-robed female cultivator felt shocked. Not waiting for her severed arm to fall to the ground, she grabbed it and quickly retreated. She had never thought that in a direct confrontation, she would end up losing one of her arms to a profound core 6th level cultivator. Ning Cheng did not even think about it, as he once again blasted out with his cosmic true devil axe, sweeping up a berserk axe-killing vortex. He wanted to take this opportunity to kill off this green-robed female cultivator. He knew that the only reason he could chop off this green-robed female cultivator's arm was because this green-robed female cultivator did not put him in her eyes. If this green-robed female cultivator had taken him seriously from the beginning, he might not have succeeded. In the end, even if he could defeat this green-robed female cultivator, he would have to spend a lot of effort. The green-robed female cultivator finally recovered her senses. She completely understood that Ning Cheng was different from ordinary profound core cultivators. Not only was he different, but he was also not inferior to her in any way. At this moment, she didn't dare to be careless anymore. The defensive small cauldron in front of her expanded once again. In the blink of an eye, it transformed into a huge cauldron that was more than 10 feet in size, completely protecting her. The endless whirlpool of axe shadows bombarded the top of the huge cauldron. Boom boom boom. A series of violent explosions rang out, completely lifting up the surrounding sand and gravel into a cloud of dust. However, the final whirlpool axe shadow once again sent the green-robed female cultivator flying backwards, causing the green-robed female cultivator's expressions to change. At this time, she fully understood that even if she did not look down on Ning Cheng, she would not necessarily be a match for Ning Cheng. At best, she would be on the same level as Ning Cheng. From the time she started cultivating till now, she had never seen such a powerful profound core cultivator like Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng currently had the cultivation of profound core realm. Once Ning Cheng advanced to the soul essence realm, just how terrifying would he be? Ning Cheng was also shocked by the powerful true essence, causing him to fall back. He sighed in his heart. It seemed that it would not be easy for him to kill this green-dressed woman, unless she did not run away. If he hadn't chopped off one of her arms, he might have had to use all his trump cards to gain the upper hand. At this time, the green-robed woman had completely calmed down. She swallowed a few pills, and a long green ribbon wrapped around her head. A swift and fierce imposing aura once again slowly gathered around her. She guessed that she might not be Ning Cheng's opponent, but with the pride of a soul essence cultivator, she was not willing to run away from a profound core cultivator. Ning Cheng, who was about to continue his attack, suddenly gave a cold snort and spoke, "Today you are lucky, the next time you meet me, you might not be so lucky." Saying that, Ning Cheng's figure flashed and disappeared in an instant. The green-robed female cultivator stared at the spot where Ning Cheng disappeared. She even forgot that she should have picked up her severed arm first. No matter from what point of view, Ning Cheng had the advantage, so why would he take the initiative to retreat? While she was still in a daze, another red figure landed. "Senior Sister Shi Xing, you've already killed." Before the red-robed female cultivator could finish her words, she suddenly froze. She saw that the green-robed female cultivator had lost an arm and immediately asked, "What's going on?" The green-robed female cultivator was even more horrified in her heart. She had not noticed when Fu Xingnan had arrived, but that profound core 6th level cultivator had unexpectedly been one step ahead of her in sensing Fu Xingnan's arrival. No wonder this profound core cultivator took the initiative to leave. It turns out that he knew that he was not a match for two soul essence cultivators. "I'm not his opponent." The green-robed female cultivator called Shi Xing spoke out with a pale face, as she took out her severed arm and swallowed a few pills, before sitting down on the ground. Fu Xingnan was extremely shocked in her heart. She had never thought that Shi Xing would say that she was not Ning Cheng's opponent. Although Ning Cheng's cultivation progress was not small, but he still only had the cultivation of profound core 6th level. A profound core 6th level cultivator in the small spiritual domain was simply nothing. How could he beat a soul essence 3rd level cultivator? It was absolutely impossible. Fu Xingnan, who was full of doubts, waited until Shi Xing stood up again, before she hurriedly asked, "Senior sister Shi Xing, did you just say that you are not Ning Cheng's opponent?" Shi Xing glanced at Fu Xingnan and spoke, "That's right, I am not his opponent. If it weren't for you, then maybe I would have already been killed. This person is just too terrifying. Currently he is only at Profound Core 6th level. Once he advances to the Soul Essence realm, he would be able to kill me with just a lift of his hand. Not to mention Wen Han, even senior apprentice Brother K would not be his opponent. This time I was plotted against by Wen Han. If I had known that the person he wanted to kill was so powerful, I would have never coveted his benefits." Shi Xing finished speaking, as she brought out her flight-type magical weapon and turned around to leave. She did not even ask Fu Xingnan if she wanted to go together with her. Fu Xingnan looked at the disappearing back of Shi Xing. She knew that Shi Xing's last words were meant for her to hear, and for her to pass it on to Wen Han. Silently looking at the battlefield filled with ravines, Fu Xingnan suddenly felt a bit of fear in her heart. If she had come alone to look for Ning Cheng, then maybe before she left, Ning Cheng would have already killed her. But compared to Shi Xing, she was not just a little bit worse. After Ning Cheng left, he did not feel much joy. Compared to the average cultivators, his strength was more than enough to make them laugh. However, Ning Cheng knew that his strength was far from enough. This time he would go to the Heavenly Dao public square. Maybe he would meet Wen Han, or even that sickly man from the Red Star Sword faction. If he met that sickly man, then he would not have anything to say, and would just run away. But if he met Wen Han, Ning Cheng would not be willing to run away. He and this person did not know each other, yet this person had plotted against him several times to kill him. How could Ning Cheng let go of Wen Han? He was not someone who would slap his face on one side, and then immediately send the other side to the other side. In a completely unreasonable situation, when people slapped him, if he did not return 10 slaps, then he would absolutely not feel comfortable in his heart, not to mention that Wen Han wanted to kill him. It was a pity. If his golden core had not been burnt by the flames, then with his Profound Core 7th level cultivation, he would definitely be able to kill that Soul Essence 3rd level female cultivator. Moreover, with his Profound Core 7th level cultivation, he estimated that he would not be afraid of Wen Han. Profound Core 7th level was equivalent to the late stages of the Profound Core realm, while Profound Core 6th level was equivalent to the intermediate stages of the Profound Core realm. The gap between them was not as simple as just a single level. He must cultivate to the Profound Core 7th level before going to the Heavenly Dao public square. Ning Cheng thought until here and immediately stopped. He did not have any backing in the Tian continent, although Elder Bei was good to him, but that was because he was also a disciple of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. In other words, Elder Bei must have had the same attitude towards Wen Han. With just a little more than 10 million spirit stones on him, would he be able to cultivate to the Profound Core 7th level? It would be great if he had a few spiritual mist pills. The spiritual mist pills were the best pills for Profound Core cultivators to break through their bottlenecks. He also had a few mist orchids on him, but unfortunately, he did not have the ability to turn the mist orchids into spiritual mist pills. The spiritual mist pill was a rank 5 profound pill, as such he was not able to refine it. Ning Cheng rubbed his head. Strength, ah strength. How could I be so stupid? Ning Cheng suddenly remembered that he still had 1,000,000 contribution points, although these contribution points could not be exchanged for soul condensing pills, but he could exchange them for spiritual mist pills. No, I should first go to the place where I did the last assignment. Ning Cheng thought of the contribution points, and immediately thought of the ancient immortal cave where he did the last assignment, causing his heart to immediately look forward to it. At that time, before he had left, he had warned the life essence of the ancient immortal cave. He had told the life essence to remember to bury some good things in the place. Maybe that life essence would really be fooled by him. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng's heart immediately turned fiery. He no longer had the thought of returning to the academy to exchange for the spiritual mist pills. Under the flashing of the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, he instantly rushed towards the wasteland where the great Liang True country and the northern Shang True country had once fought, which was also the place where the ancient immortal cave had appeared. The twin wings of the heavenly clouds had already reached rank 2, as such Ning Qing unscrupulously wielded it at this time. In just a short day, Ning Qing once again arrived at this place. This place was still desolate, with potholes everywhere, and with the broken weapons and magical weapon fragments lying around, it made this place look even more desolate. Ning Qing put away the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, as he fully stretched out his spiritual consciousness. He quickly found the place where he had disappeared, and then quickly escaped through the earth into the ground. With Ning Cheng's current cultivation, although he could not use the earth escape technique to escape. Using the earth escape technique to enter the ground, he did not feel any pressure at all. Ning Qing originally did not cultivate an earth attribute cultivation method, coupled with the fact that he had to find out if there was anything underground, coupled with the fact that his spiritual consciousness was limited underground, as such his speed was incomparably slow. Fortunately, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness was tempered in the chaotic star space, which made it incomparably powerful. Even if it was underground, the scope of his search was still far stronger than that of an average soul essence cultivator. After a whole day of searching, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness was exhausted, but he still could not find anything. Just when he was about to curse the life essence of the ancient immortal cave, he suddenly felt a tremor around him. Someone was fighting above. Ning Cheng immediately came to understand. He quickly concealed his figure, as he carefully probed upwards with his spiritual consciousness. Immediately Ning Cheng saw two Soul Essence 9th level cultivators engaged in an earth-shattering battle. The two people fighting were a man and a woman, moreover they did not seem to be too old. After watching for a while, Ning Cheng felt that something was wrong. He found that the female cultivator seemed to be staggering a bit. This female cultivator should have been poisoned, Ning Cheng immediately understood. To be able to poison a soul essence female cultivator, this poison was definitely not simple. Looking at the might of these two cultivators, he could tell that they were definitely disciples from a large academy. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng's heart moved, as he immediately took out a crystal ball and began to record images. Jiang Jun, you beast, Tan Yushan must have been blind, to actually fancy a thing like you that is not even comparable to a pig or a dog. Today I finally understand. How did my master die? The female cultivator seemed to know that she would definitely die today, as she loudly cursed. The male cultivator called Jiang Jun did not speak a single word, but his actions were even more fierce. He even took out a talisman and brought it out. Ning Cheng was an expert in refining talismans, as such when he saw the talisman, Ning Cheng immediately knew that this male cultivator was using a rank 6 flame explosion talisman. From the looks of it, this male cultivator already had the absolute advantage, but now he still used the flame explosion talisman. It was obvious that he wanted to end the fight quickly. Ning Cheng sighed. He really wanted to help, but not to say that he would die if he went out. Even if he did not die, once this male cultivator used the talisman, he would not have enough time to help. With a violent explosion, the female cultivator was blown away, but the male cultivator did not show any mercy, as a flying sword instantly pierced through the glabella of the female cultivator. Chapter 285. That male cultivator was very decisive. After killing that female cultivator, not only did he take away all the things of that female cultivator, he even melted the corpse of that female cultivator, before quickly leaving. What a vicious fellow, Ning Cheng thought in his heart. This female cultivator called Tan Yushan was obviously that male cultivator's Dao companion, as such this male cultivator did not show even half a shred of leniency in killing her. Unfortunately, his cultivation was just too poor. If he was at the great circle of the profound core realm, he would absolutely not be able to bear it, and would have definitely gone up to fight. After the male cultivator left, Ning Cheng did not leave, rather he continued to search underground. Another day passed by, and Ning Cheng's patience was almost worn out, when a tiny jade box appeared in the range of his spiritual consciousness. Ning Cheng first came to the side of this jade box, and swept out with his spiritual consciousness. He was sure that this jade box did not have any spiritual consciousness markings, nor did it have any restrictions, only then did he grab the jade box in his hands. Such a jade box was abruptly placed here. It was definitely placed here by that old fogey. This fellow also knew to be afraid, but wasn't that old fogey a bit too stingy? How many things could such a small jade box hold? Ning Cheng opened the jade box in his hands, not waiting for his spiritual consciousness to touch the jade box. An extremely rich spiritual qi immediately caused Ning Cheng's cultivation to loosen up. It seemed that as long as he sat down and cultivated, he would soon be able to rush to the profound core 7th level. Not even thinking about it, Ning Cheng once again closed the jade box. What the hell was this thing? How could it have such a rich spiritual qi? Moreover, this spiritual qi was completely different from the spiritual qi in the small spiritual domain. It was even dozens of grades higher. Not only did it not have any side effects, but it also gave off a refreshing feeling, even allowing one's perception to deepen a bit. Whatever that old fogey left behind was definitely a good thing. Ning Cheng immediately began to arrange a concealment array formation. After arranging the concealment array formation, Ning Cheng entered his miniature world with the fastest speed possible. Once inside his miniature world, Ning Cheng once again took out the jade box and opened it. The rich spiritual qi spread out, even the spiritual grasses inside the miniature world turned more verdant. Grey Toot Toot, who was sleeping in the middle of the spiritual grasses, immediately got up, wagged its tail and ran towards Ning Cheng. There was only a small piece of broken crystal stone in the jade box. This broken crystal stone was crystal clear, and looked extremely comfortable. What kind of crystal stone is this? How can there be such dense spiritual qi? Ning Cheng muttered to himself in shock. He quickly recalled that when he cultivated outside the burning harmony immortal mansion, the spiritual qi also seemed to contain this kind of aura. It was just that the aura of this crystal was countless times richer than the aura of spiritual qi outside Zhuohe's immortal mansion. Good stuff. Ning Cheng could feel his cultivation loosening up. He felt sure that this small piece of stuff was a supreme treasure. Unfortunately, the old fart was too stingy. If he had given him hundreds of these things, would he still need to worry about cultivation resources? This idea only flashed in Ning Cheng's mind for a moment, before he threw it aside. The next moment, Ning Cheng sat down and began to absorb the small piece of broken crystal stone in his hand for cultivation. The inexhaustible spiritual qi within the crystal stone was completely absorbed by Ning Cheng, which was then repeatedly tempered by his golden core. In just the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, Ning Cheng's golden core once again returned to the state it was in before it spontaneously combusted. A faint golden color started to swirl above his core lake. Ning Cheng did not even need to put in any effort, as his cultivation broke through to the profound core 7th level for the second time. This time, after breaking through to the profound core 7th level, Ning Cheng felt that his strength had risen by leaps and bounds. However, there was not even half a shred of yang qi burning his body. Sure enough, it was a good thing. Ning Cheng did not stop, as he continued to absorb the spiritual qi from the crystal stone for cultivation. Not knowing for how long, Ning Cheng once again felt his entire body shake, as the barrier between the profound core 7th level and the profound core 8th level finally broke through without any hindrance. The vigorous and powerful true essence rushed through his meridians a few times, while his sea of consciousness also expanded once again, letting Ning Cheng know that his cultivation had once again advanced. How could there be such a terrifying crystal stone under the heavens? Ning Cheng was shocked as he looked at the small piece of broken crystal stone in his hand. The shock in his heart was not because of the crazy increase in his cultivation, but because this crystal stone was simply too heaven-defying. Ning Cheng was aware that his cultivation was a bottomless pit of resources. Even if he absorbed millions of spirit stones for a few months, his cultivation would still be limited. But now with such a small piece of broken crystal stone, even after his cultivation advanced from the profound core 6th level to the profound core 8th level, even the color of the crystal stone did not change much. Just how terrifying was the spiritual qi contained in this small piece of crystal stone? Even if he could recover from the profound core 6th level to the profound core 7th level, but advancing from the profound core 7th level to the profound core 8th level was a genuine advancement. Moreover, he could even feel that when he absorbed this crystal stone to break through the barrier between his cultivation, he would not even need to expend any effort at all. The barrier was like water flowing into a canal, as it automatically broke through. After the spiritual chi from the crystal stone was absorbed, not only was it rapidly transformed, but there was also not even half a shred of discomfort. Ning Cheng was amazed for a long time, but did not continue to cultivate. It was not that he did not want to cultivate, but he was reluctant to part with this small piece of broken crystal stone. His cultivation was different from others. The further he went, the more cultivation resources he would need. In the future, in case he was unable to break through the barrier between his cultivation, he could always use this small piece of crystal stone. In case he used it up in the profound core realm, what would he do in the future? It would be great if he could meet that old fogey again. If he met that old fogey again, he would definitely swindle some of that old fogey's crystal stone. However, Ning Cheng could also guess that this old fogey did not have many of these things. If he had a lot of them, then he would not have just given him a fragment. Calculating that he had been delayed in this place for another half a month, Ning Cheng quickly and carefully put away the crystal stone in a jade box. Coming out of the miniature world, he quickly rushed out of the ground. With this crystal stone, it was clear that he had to make preparations to condense his own soul essence. He had to make a trip to the Heavenly Dao public square. Moreover, he had to rush there at the most lively time. With his current cultivation at the profound core 8th level, even if he met a soul essence 9th level cultivator, if he wanted to escape, it would not be a problem for him. The only thing he was worried about was meeting that sickly man in the Heavenly Dao public square. The people from the major academies in the Heavenly Dao public square were all present. There were also many Crucible Transformation elders from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect present. Presumably, even if they saw that sickly man, the opposite party would not dare to do anything to him. The Heavenly Dao Academy had always been famous in the Tian continent. In the early years it was once the premier academy in the Tian continent, and its strength was so formidable that it could even be compared to the entire Tian continent. However, since a few thousand years ago, a love triangle appeared in the Heavenly Dao Academy, causing it to decline. At that time, the most talented disciple of the Heavenly Dao Academy, Yan Fenghua, fell in love with two other female disciples, Sang Yan and Su Binglan. Because Yan Fenghua found it difficult to choose between Sang Yan and Su Binglan, and because Sang Yan and Su Binglan were not willing to share the same husband, it finally led to a duel between Sang Yan and Su Binglan. This was the peak period of the Heavenly Dao Academy, and Sang Yan and Su Binglan were also the most talented disciples of the Heavenly Dao Academy. The duel between the two disciples made the masters of the two people dissatisfied, and finally the masters of the two female disciples also ended up fighting. In any academy, there would always be an existence of influence. Sang Yan and Su Binglan's masters each had the support of an elder, and with the support of the elders from both sides, this matter went out of control, and finally turned into a big melee. Yan Fenghua belonged to the academy head's faction. No matter which side he helped, it would be a matter of crooked buttocks. As a result of the hesitation of the academy head, the damage to the academy was immeasurable. Both Sang Yan and Su Binglan's master had died in battle. Although the battle had calmed down in the end, Sang Yan and Su Binglan were both physically and mentally injured. They had to leave the Heavenly Law School, and the experts in the school had also fallen apart. After Sang Yan left the Heavenly Law School, she established the Fluttering Snow Palace. However, after Su Binglan left the Heavenly Dao Academy, she established the Severing Emotions Dao sect, and even established the sect edict, stating that all men under the heavens were heartless people, and to enter the Severing Emotions Dao sect, one must first sever their emotions, otherwise they would not be able to enter the sect. Now the Severing Emotions Dao sect and the Floating Snow Palace were also one of the top 10 academies. As such, the fame of their academies was not one bit inferior to the Heavenly Dao Academy. Even though the Heavenly Dao School had declined, its style was still incomparable to the other sections. When Ning Cheng arrived at the Heavenly Dao public square, he couldn't help but exclaim in his heart. This public square was almost the same as a city. Among all the public squares, the Heavenly Dao public square was probably the one with the most complete functions. As long as you can think of a shop, you can find it here. Just entering the Heavenly Tao public square, Ning Qing simply did not know where the great meet of the academies was. Rather than a public square, it was more like a combination of countless makeshift markets. Ning Qing even saw an underground fighting pot. Looking at the two words fighting pot, Ning Qing couldn't help but recall the time when he had just arrived at the Changqing province, when Ji Luofei, in order to give him a qi-gathering stone, went to the fighting pot and risked her life. He also remembered telling Ji Luofei that in the future, he would completely destroy that fighting pot. He did not expect that a few years later, he would actually appear in the Tian continent, which was countless miles away from the Ping continent, and did not know when he would be able to go back. Recollecting his thoughts, Ning Qing stepped into the bustling Heavenly Tao street. He did not have much interest in the great meet of the academies. What he was interested in was whether or not he could find the soul condensing pill in this place, even if it appeared in an auction. Ning Qing walked into a decent-sized pill house. Although the inside of this pill house looked bigger than the outside, it was still overcrowded. From this, it could be seen that for the Tian continent's great meet of the academies, there were many cultivators who came to the Heavenly Tao public square. "Excuse me, do you have any clean lotus pills for sale?" A slightly hoarse voice came from the side of Ning Qing. Hearing this question, Ning Qing immediately thought of the Blood River Red Lotus. The clean lotus pill was refined from the Blood River Red Lotus. This kind of pill could not only purify the impurities in a cultivator's body, but it also had the effect of removing pill toxins. In addition to this, it also had another characteristic, that is, it could help a profound core cultivator to break through a bottleneck, and even had a certain effect on early-stage soul essence cultivators. However, very few people would use the clean lotus pill to break through a bottleneck, because the Blood River Red Lotus was simply too precious. Ning Qing saw that the cultivator who asked about the clean lotus pill already had the cultivation of early-stage soul essence realm. It was obvious that he was not asking about the clean lotus pill to break through a bottleneck, but rather to purify the pill toxins in his body. The shop assistant replied in a very enthusiastic manner, "The clean lotus pill is a rare pill. Senior can only obtain it if you go to the Heavenly Tao Exchange main hall. It is very rare for a pill house to sell this kind of pill." The Heavenly Tao Exchange main hall is filled with cultivators from all over the world. Everyone would bring their own precious treasures to exchange with each other. However, one must have at least 1 or 2 treasures to enter, otherwise one would need to have at least 50 million spirit stones to be able to enter. "I understand, many thanks." The hoarse voice of the soul essence cultivator casually thanked the shop assistant, before he immediately turned around and left. Ning Qing, on seeing this soul essence cultivator leave, quickly followed after him. This kind of cultivator exchange main hall was exactly the place he wanted to go. Chapter 286. The Heavenly Tao Public Square's Cultivator Exchange Hall was very easy to find. As Ning Qing followed the Soul Essence cultivator through the main street, he was already able to see the luxurious and spectacular Cultivator Exchange Hall. From afar, he could see a few giant golden characters suspended in front of the main hall, Heavenly Tao Public Square Cultivator Exchange Hall. When Ning Qing arrived outside the luxurious hall, he found that even the entrance was guarded by 2 Soul Essence cultivators, a man and a woman. "Friend, do you want to go into exchange items or conduct a magical technique exchange?" Ning Qing had just arrived at the entrance, when the female cultivator took the initiative to ask. Ning Qing quickly replied, "I am here to exchange items. Can we also conduct a magical technique exchange here?" Of course, the Heavenly Tao Public Square's Cultivator Exchange Hall is not only for magical technique exchange, but also for cultivation methods, obstacles to advancement, and even higher-level things. The female cultivator proudly replied. Although Ning Qing had joined the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, but to be honest, he had never gone to the training hall to study. He had also obtained some cultivation experience from others, but it was far from enough for his own cultivation needs. Now that he could practice cultivation methods here, Ning Qing immediately wanted to go in and have a look. Making up his mind, Ning Qing immediately spoke up, I want to exchange items, and also want to take a look at the magical technique exchange hall. But, the entrance fee is 50,000 spirit stones. At the same time you need to prove that you have a rank 6 or above spiritual object, or at least 50 million spirit stones. The female cultivator quickly spoke up. It was estimated that she had spoken this sentence many times. It was really expensive. Ning Qing thought in his heart, this place could be considered as a high-class club on earth. Even going in for 50,000 spirit stones, it was simply too much. Ning Qing took out a pair of Blood River red lotuses and spoke, my pair of red lotuses should be qualified to go in, right? Blood River red lotuses. Of course you are qualified, this thing is extremely rare, after you go in, you will definitely be sought after. The female cultivator revealed a trace of surprise, and then spoke up, you can also tell us what you need, we will mark it on the back of your needs. Ning Qing pondered for a moment and spoke, I need cultivation resources for soul essence cultivators, either soul condensing pills, or spiritual objects to advance to the soul essence realm. Okay. The female cultivator nodded. Ning Qing now had the cultivation of profound core 8th level, as such wanting soul condensing pills was very normal. The female cultivator handed a black and white jade card to Ning Qing and spoke, you can go in now. If you want to buy anything, you can bid on the array formation screen. Ning Qing did not know much about this kind of bidding, but he did not continue to ask about it, and instead directly entered the exchange hall. This kind of thing was something that he would definitely be able to understand after entering the hall. After entering the main hall, Ning Qing finally understood what was going on. The Great Hall was incomparably huge and there were many seats in the middle of the Great Hall. All of the seats were occupied by various cultivators. These cultivators were either whispering to each other or drinking spirit tea. There were many stalls around the hall. Some cultivators had placed their items on the stalls, waiting for people to come and inquire about them. Ning Qing took a look, and found that the things on these stalls were all good things, even the lowest spiritual grasses were rare rank 5 spiritual grasses. At the top of the hall, there were 10 huge array formation display screens. Ning Qing was able to see a row of words at the top of one of the displays. Cultivator number 436 is bringing a pair of Blood River red lotuses to participate in the General Assembly, and is in need of a soul condensing pill, a type of spiritual object that can help a profound core cultivator advance to the soul essence realm. Ning Qing looked at the jade card in his hands, and found that it was inscribed with the number 436. He calmed his heart down, and began to look for something similar to the soul condensing pill on the display screen. Hey, a new pair of Blood River red lotuses has appeared. It really is a Blood River red lotus. This kind of thing is really rare. That's right, although the grade of the Blood River red lotus is not high, but it is extremely rare. As Ning Qing's Blood River red lotus appeared on the display screen, all kinds of discussions immediately broke out. Not long after, some information appeared below the Blood River red lotus. Number 941 is willing to use spirit stones to purchase the Blood River red lotus. The specific price can be negotiated in person. Number 63 is willing to use a broken core pearl along with a magical weapon to exchange. In just a twinkling of an eye, a row of small characters appeared below Ning Qing's Blood River red lotus. Ning Qing looked at this information and was immediately overjoyed in his heart. Paying 50,000 spirit stones in this place was not expensive at all. This was equivalent to everyone being able to take out their own things for auction. This kind of exchange gathering was really to his liking. Ning Qing looked at the more and more information appeared below the Blood River red lotus, as he already had a plan in mind. Although the Blood River red lotus was rare, but it was not a particularly precious thing, as such he intended to occupy a booth and put the Blood River red lotus on display. Just when Ning Qing was looking for a booth, 2 quarreling voices arrived. Aren't you being too unreasonable? I do not agree with your price, what do you want? This was a voice filled with anger, but with a hint of sullenness. The other voice was very calm, you have already agreed to sell your things to me, and now you do not agree with my price, are you trying to play with me? This is the exchange hall, not a place for you to play with people. Not to mention that your Rainbow Fall Sword sect is not one of the top 10 academies. Even if it was one of the top 10 academies, it would not be qualified to play with people here. Ning Qing originally did not care about it, but when he heard the words Rainbow Fall Sword sect, he immediately focused his attention on it. The quarrel was between two Profound Core cultivators. One was at Profound Core 7th level, while the other was at Profound Core 9th level. That Profound Core 7th level cultivator's face turned even redder as he spoke. When did I say anything about an academy? Don't drag the academy into this. That's right, your Rainbow Fall Sword sect is at the bottom of the tournament for the Profound Core disciples. It is even worse than some of the second-rate academies. If you don't drag the academy into this, then you would at least lose a bit of face. This Profound Core 9th level cultivator spoke in a calm voice, and even put the words Rainbow Fall Sword sect in his mouth. The Profound Core 7th level cultivator's morale was somewhat trembling, as he blurted out, your Red Star Sword faction is not necessarily that powerful. Compared to my Rainbow Fall Sword sect it is only about the same. The Profound Core 9th level cultivator gave a smile. It is indeed about the same. In this Tian continent's great meet of the academies, I even managed to reach the 4th place in the Profound Core Realm Group competition, and was ranked 40th in the overall ranking list. What about your Rainbow Fall Sword sect? If I remember correctly, in the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Profound Core preliminary round, wasn't the best evaluation in the top 90s? I alone am enough to take care of your Rainbow Fall Sword sect. That's also true, I managed to enter the top 100 in the preliminary round. This Profound Core 9th level cultivator laughed out loud. It could be seen that he was deliberately pretending to be calm. As this Profound Core cultivator laughed out loud, some of the surrounding cultivators also started laughing along with him. The Rainbow Fall Sword sect had indeed come with an imposing manner, as if once again breaking into the top 10 academies of the Tian continent was already an indisputable matter. However, in the most important preliminary round for the Profound Core Realm and Soul Essence Realm cultivators, they simply could not bring out any results. Moreover, in the Realm Skipping Challenge, they even suffered a crushing defeat. It can be said that in accordance with the current situation of the tournament, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's status would not only not rise, but would even fall by a level. The Profound Core 7th level cultivator was even more speechless, but just as he was about to leave, he was once again stopped by the Profound Core 9th level cultivator. If you want to leave, then you have to give me an explanation. Don't tell me you still want to force us to buy and sell. A cold voice arrived. When Ning Cheng's voice arrived, almost all the surrounding onlookers immediately stared at Ning Cheng. Who was this person, to actually speak up for this Profound Core 7th level cultivator from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect? Hearing that it was a cultivator from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, Ning Cheng did not hesitate to come over. Not to mention that he was a disciple of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, he even enjoyed the benefits of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's small spiritual domain. Even if it was Elder Bei's attitude towards him, Ning Cheng would still stand up and speak up for the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. What's more, this Profound Core 9th level cultivator was from the Red Star Sword faction, an academy that he hated the most. Who are you? When did I force you to buy and sell? This Profound Core 9th level cultivator's face sank, as he stared at Ning Cheng and spoke out in a cold voice. Ning Cheng was just a trivial Profound Core 8th level cultivator, yet unexpectedly dared to question him. In his view, all those whose cultivations were not as high as his, were all trivial. Even if their cultivations were higher than his, with his formidable strength, he would not care much about them. Ning Cheng simply ignored this Profound Core 9th level cultivator, as he looked at the Profound Core 7th level cultivator and asked, "What is the specific matter, can you tell me about it?" That Profound Core 7th level cultivator was isolated and helpless. When he heard Ning Cheng's words, he quickly spoke up, "I have 10 drops of spiritual enhancement true nectar. I originally intended to exchange them for spiritual mist pills and some spirit stones. But he only brought out 2 low-grade spiritual mist pills and 20,000 spirit stones, and wanted to exchange them for my spiritual enhancement true nectar. I do not agree." Hearing until here, Ning Cheng finally came to a complete understanding. He was sure that this Profound Core 7th level cultivator's spiritual enhancement true nectar also came from him. 10 drops of spiritual enhancement true nectar was equivalent to 1/10 of the bottle that he had originally sold to the Heavenly Stars auction house. Using 2 low-grade spiritual mist pills and 20,000 spirit stones to buy it was indeed a pitiful amount. The Red Star Sword faction, this academy really does have a good reputation. Even a profound core 9th level cultivator wants to force you to buy and sell. It looks like they have some kind of inheritance. Ning Qing spoke in a sarcastic tone. When this profound core 9th level cultivator heard Ning Cheng's words, his entire body immediately overflowed with murderous intent. How could he bear it any longer, as he raised his hand and sent out a slap towards Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng sneered in his heart. He was not even afraid of a soul essence cultivator, so why would he care about a profound core cultivator? He did not even congeal his imposing aura, as he similarly sent out a slap. Pa, just like swatting a fly, Ning Cheng's slap was just like a sharp blade, as it directly broke through the imposing aura of this profound core 9th level cultivator, and patted the face of this profound core cultivator. This profound core cultivator's bright and clean face immediately had a bright red palm mark. If not for Ning Cheng's fear that this was the Heavenly Dao Public Square's cultivator exchange meet, he would have directly slapped away half of this cultivator's face. After a very short period of shock, this profound core 9th level cultivator immediately roared, "I'm going to kill you, you bastard." As he roared, his entire body unscrupulously released a murderous aura, while simultaneously bringing out a pair of brown-colored cloud-isolating claws. At this moment, he completely forgot where he was. Such a big movement immediately attracted the attention of all the people in the exchange hall. Ning Qing gave a sneer, but did not move at all. He did not believe that this exchange hall would allow such an unscrupulous fight, otherwise this place would have already turned into a mess. Chapter 287. Stop, what's going on? A cold voice arrived, followed by a berserk imposing aura. The profound core 9th level cultivator, who had already brought out his magical weapon, suddenly sobered up. This place was not some random place, but rather the Heavenly Dao Exchange Hall. This profound core cultivator from the Red Star Sword faction also saw this opportunity, as the anger that filled his chest instantly subsided, as he quickly put away his magical weapon, before he cupped his fists towards a black-robed cultivator and spoke in a respectful voice, "Sir Deacon, this junior is Ding Liang from the Red Star Sword faction. For no apparent reason, this cultivator sneak attacked me and slapped me, causing me to become incomparably angry." Ning Cheng had already seen that this black-robed deacon was an expert in the soul-sculpting realm. He saw that this black-robed deacon, after listening to Ding Liang's words, turned his gaze towards him, and also cupped his fists and spoke, "Sir Deacon, what happened a moment ago, there are a lot of people here who saw it. This person, relying on his higher cultivation, wanted to force this junior apprentice brother of mine to buy and sell. Moreover, he was the one who attacked me first. It was only because my strength was a little bit stronger than him that I was able to gain a slight advantage." This profound core 9th level cultivator's face turned livid as he spoke, "You are stronger than me? In the Tian continent's great meet of the academies, I represented the Red Star Sword faction and was ranked 4th in the Profound Core Realm group. Moreover, I am ranked 37th in the Profound Core Realm. Could it be that you are one of the other 36? If you want to sneak attack, then sneak attack. If you have the ability, then come at me fair and square." Ning Qing spoke up in a calm voice, "It's not that I can't come at you, but I came to the exchange hall to exchange things, not to fight with some boring people." This soul-sculpting deacon suddenly spoke up, "In the Heavenly Dao Public Square's Cultivator Exchange Hall, if you encounter something that you cannot solve, then as long as both sides are in the same realm, then you can challenge each other alone. As long as both sides agree, then you can go to the battle ring on the right side." As the soul-sculpting cultivator finished, he pointed his finger towards an open space on the right side. Ning Qing finally understood the use of the open space on the right side. It was originally used to resolve disputes. "Very well, I'll be waiting for you on this battle ring. If you don't have the guts to fight, then crawl under my crotch. As a disciple of the Red Star Sword faction, I can be magnanimous and spare your dog life." Ding Liang had completely regained his composure, but even the cultivators beside him could hear the killing intent in his words. Ning Qing simply did not pay any attention to Ding Liang's murderous tone, as he once again asked, "May I ask Sir Deacon, if there are any restrictions on the fighting ring here?" The black-robed deacon looked at Ning Qing with a meaningful gaze and spoke, "No, but in the Heavenly Tao Public Square's Cultivator Exchange Hall, there is basically no killing intent. At most, they would just waste the cultivation of the other party. This is also because the vast number of cultivators are giving face to the exchange hall." "I understand, such being the case, then I will go and have a look, and see if this Profound Core Realm's top 40 ranker from the Red Star Sword faction is a fake or not," Ning Qing said as he was about to step onto the battle ring. The Profound Core 7th level cultivator from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect hastily pulled Ning Qing and spoke, "This senior apprentice brother, many thanks for standing up for justice. It's just that this person's cultivation is really powerful, so I'm willing to suffer a bit. Someone is afraid." As soon as this Profound Core 7th level cultivator from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect spoke out, the surrounding people immediately ridiculed him. Ning Qing patted the shoulder of this Profound Core 7th level cultivator and spoke, "You might be willing to suffer a bit, but I am not willing to suffer a loss." Saying that, Ning Qing did not hesitate to walk towards the battle ring. "You really do have some guts." Ning Qing once again heard a sarcastic voice, causing him to subconsciously look back. An incomparably handsome male cultivator and a beautiful female cultivator that people would not dare to look at were standing together. This female cultivator was not even half a point worse than the Lu continent's twin lotus flowers on one branch, but was even giving off an indescribable noble aura. It was as if she had come from the 9th heaven, causing people to not dare to have even half a shred of profanity towards her. The goose-yellow flower-patterned robe on her body was obviously still, but it gave people a kind of elegant feeling. This kind of beauty was just like a beautiful painting, it was simply too beautiful to behold. Even Ning Qing, who was accustomed to seeing beautiful women, could not help but secretly praise her in his heart. It seems that these two people had just come in, as such the conflict between him and Ding Liang, these two people should not have seen it. "You don't have to look at me, I am also from the Red Star Sword faction. My name is Jiang Jun, remember what I said, my name is Jiang Jun. I am also from the Red Star Sword faction." After this incomparably handsome male cultivator finished, he suddenly turned to Ding Liang on the battle ring and spoke, "Ding Liang, completely dismantle this person's muscles and bones, then take out his golden core, and then keep his dog life." Ning Qing had seen this incomparably handsome male cultivator once before, it was the Jiang Jun who had killed his Dao companion, Tan Yushan. No wonder this person wanted to kill his Dao companion, it turned out that he had taken a fancy to such a beautiful woman. Ning Cheng's heart surged with a burst of murderous intent, even the beautiful female cultivator standing next to him, was secretly despised by Ning Cheng. This person really could not be judged by their looks, although they were beautiful, but their vision was as bad as dog shit. Ning Cheng suddenly smiled at this handsome male cultivator and spoke, "Red Star Sword faction? I heard that it is an academy that does not care about face. You were wrong a moment ago, I was not looking at you a moment ago, a Zhu Beiji like you is not worthy of my attention, I was looking at the chick beside you. I was thinking, this chick is not bad, can I ask this chick out for a cup of coffee, and then we can talk about the meaning of life in the evening." Just as Ning Cheng had guessed, when Ning Cheng spoke those words, Jiang Jun's robes began to flutter without any wind, as a terrifying murderous intent directly rushed towards Ning Cheng, "You're courting death." Ning Cheng immediately cupped his fists towards the soul-sculpting realm deacon and spoke, "Sir Deacon, I now want to fight with this Ding Liang on the battle ring. Although I know that the Red Star Sword faction likes to do dirty things, but I have not even stepped onto the battle ring, yet the people from the Red Star Sword faction are already prepared to join forces to deal with me. May I ask this, sir, if this is in line with the rules?" The soul-sculpting realm deacon suddenly gave a cold snort and spoke, "Jiang Jun, retract your murderous intent, otherwise my cultivator exchange hall will directly ask you to leave this place." In the Heavenly Tao Cultivator Exchange Hall, Anyone who uses the battle ring to settle disputes can only be done one-on-one, moreover it is not allowed to cross realms to challenge. Even if Jiang Jun was more powerful, he would not dare to ignore the deacon in this place. Hearing those words, he could only retract his murderous intent towards Ning Cheng, while at the same time suppressing the hatred in his heart, as he cupped his fists towards the deacon and spoke, "I understand, he will soon not even be able to speak. Senior apprentice brother Jiang, you can rest assured that I will let this madman know what regret is. I will dig out his golden core, and trample it under my feet." Ding Liang, who was already standing on the battle ring, stared at Ning Cheng and spoke word by word. Ning Cheng raised his middle finger towards Ding Liang and spoke, "I am not your senior apprentice brother, your dog eyes are looking at the wrong place. It's just a loose tongue." Jiang Jun shook his head. Just as Ning Cheng walked onto the battle ring, the beautiful female cultivator that Ning Cheng despised suddenly asked, "What did you mean by Zhu Beiji and drinking coffee?" Ning Cheng did not think that this female cultivator would not only be expressionless, but also had a strong thirst for knowledge, and would even ask him about such trivial matters. "What you want to know is very simple, just come out with me alone at night and you will know." Ning Cheng spoke without any care. "I'm afraid that after you fight, you will not be able to come out." The female cultivator calmly spoke. Ning Cheng gave a smile, "It doesn't matter, you can carry me out on your back, not to mention what if I can still come out?" "Good, then I'll go out with you to drink coffee tonight." The female cultivator spoke in a flat tone, as if it was a very trivial matter. But Ning Cheng spoke in an exaggerated manner, "You really want to go out with me to drink coffee, ah? Aren't you afraid that I would covet your beauty, and then use some bewitching poison to knock you out, and then get on top of you, and then kill you, and then look for a new lover, ah? I really am that kind of person." Some of the cultivators who knew who this female cultivator was, immediately had their faces change. This profound core 8th level cultivator's courage was simply too big, simply did not know how to write the word death. He actually dared to speak in such a manner to a true inheriting disciple of the floating snow palace. With her cultivation at the great circle of the soul essence realm, she could easily turn Ning Cheng into dust with just a lift of her hand. What was even more unexpected was that this beautiful female cultivator actually nodded and replied, "I'm not afraid." "Very good, I like this kind of woman like you. By the way, will you find an opportunity to get on top of me, and then kill me?" Ning Cheng gave a thumbs up, as he asked another inexplicable question. This beautiful female cultivator still calmly replied, "I am not a person from the Severing Emotions Tao sect, and will not get on top of you, and then kill you." "Hey, you even know what it means to get on top of me? Amazing. That is to say, after you get on top of me, you will not kill me." Ning Cheng once again gave a thumbs up in praise. "Enough. If you want to fight then hurry up, if you don't want to fight then just get the fuck out of here." Jiang Jun finally could not help but berate him. He suddenly had some doubts that Ning Cheng's words were specifically aimed at him, but when he killed Tan Yushan, he was 100% sure that there was no one around. How could this puny profound core cultivator know about it? Not only did his words reflect it, but it even reflected that he had used poison. He was definitely thinking too much, it was definitely the case. When Jiang Jun spoke those words, Ning Cheng had just walked onto the battle ring. Ding Liang, who had been waiting for a long time, could not wait to once again bring out the Cloud Isolating Claw. The incomparably violent Cloud Isolating Claw, in just a moment, completely enveloped the entire battle ring. The entire battle ring at this time was filled with Ding Liang's murderous aura and killing intent. The spectating cultivators at this time could only see Ning Cheng in the midst of the endless claw shadows, as if he was at a loss as to what to do, and could only stare blankly at these claw shadows rushing towards him. Some of the cultivators had already begun to sigh, although this profound core 8th level cultivator's mouth was extremely powerful, moreover it was also very mean. But now that they really had to fight, it was simply not possible. At this time, some of the more perceptive cultivators saw Ning Cheng swaying a few times in the midst of these endless cloud isolating claw shadows. In just these few swings, he was able to get rid of those endless claw shadows. Immediately they saw Ning Cheng take out a black spear. The spear only slightly trembled, before it was once again put away. The cloud-isolating claw shadows that enveloped the entire battle ring, when Ning Cheng put away his spear, also disappeared without a trace. Even Ding Liang's murderous aura had completely disappeared. Plop! A sound emerged. As Ding Liang fell onto the battle ring from the air, a broken golden core automatically rolled towards Ning Cheng's feet, as Ning Cheng unconsciously stepped on it. Chapter 288. Senior brother, avenge me. After Ding Liang finished speaking, he raised his hand and slapped the space between his eyebrows. His meridians were completely broken, and his golden core was smashed out by Ning Cheng and trampled under his feet. What was the point of living? The cultivators watching from the main hall only reacted at this time, as they all sucked in a mouthful of cold air. Just where did this profound core 8th level cultivator come from? Too ferocious. He actually dared to kill a profound core disciple from the Red Star Sword faction. Moreover, this disciple was also a disciple representing the Red Star Sword faction to participate in the finals of the profound core realm. Ning Cheng slowly walked down from the battle ring, as he cupped his fists towards the soul-sculpting realm deacon and spoke in an apologetic tone. Sir Deacon, I did not kill him, he was the one who committed suicide. The deacon nodded, turned around, and instantly left. Qin Jun's eyes were spitting fire as he spoke to Ning Cheng. You will pay the price for what you did today, you will soon regret it. Stop chattering. Hurry up and collect the corpse. Stop talking so much. Threatening yours truly. This young master will let you know what a real threat is. Ning Cheng shot a disdainful glance at Qin Jun. At this moment, none of the cultivators in the exchange hall dared to underestimate Ning Cheng. In the Tian continent's great meet of the academies, a cultivator who was ranked 30th in the profound core realm, how could he be simple? He was definitely not a wandering cultivator. Regardless of how the Red Star Sword faction dealt with such a cultivator, it was a matter for the future. As such, it was best not to provoke them in this place. When are we going for coffee? The beautiful female cultivator, on seeing Ning Cheng kill Ding Liang as if he was killing a chicken, felt a bit of surprise in her eyes. Instead, she stepped forward and asked Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng waved his hand and spoke, I'm not free right now, can't you see that I have something to do? Get out of my way. I'll talk about the coffee after I'm done with my business. Ning Cheng felt that this female cultivator seemed to be deliberately pestering him, which was a little strange. If he had known it would turn out like this, he would never have invited this female cultivator for coffee. If an ordinary female cultivator heard his words, they would definitely fly into a rage. How could there be such a calm reaction? She even went out for coffee with him. This made Ning Cheng very depressed, as he did not achieve his goal. Ning Cheng sympathized with Tan Yushan, who was killed by Qin Jun. As such, he found an excuse to mock and ridicule this yellow-robed female cultivator. He did not expect that the other party would not only accept it, but would also not get angry. Senior Marshal brother, thank you for your help. I am Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's inner sect disciple Zhang Qian. The profound core 7th level cultivator from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect was only able to react at this moment, as he immediately came forward to thank Ning Cheng in an incomparably shocked manner. As a disciple of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, he still had to bear this bit of responsibility. If he didn't even dare to thank someone for helping him vent his anger, then what was the point of cultivating? Ning Cheng gave a chuckle, as he patted the shoulder of this profound core 7th level cultivator and spoke, it's just a small matter, you don't need to be so polite, I am going to set up a booth, if you want to exchange things then you can come to my booth and display your goods. Ning Cheng did not say his name. Although he was currently famous outside, although there were only a few people who had seen him, but there were definitely a lot of cultivators who had heard of Ning Cheng's name. He was not afraid of being exposed. He was here to do something. Even if he had to say his name, he had to at least get the soul concentrating pill. Ning Cheng and Zhang Qian went to the side to set up their booth, but the discussions around them did not stop. They were all guessing which academy Ning Cheng was from. With this kind of terrifying strength, why did he not represent his academy in the Great Meet? One had to know that this Great Meet of the academies was directly related to the interests of the major academies. Once they rushed into the Tian continent's top 10 academies, then the comprehensive benefits they could obtain would far exceed that of the average academies. This kind of strong people getting stronger, there was not a single academy that would not pay attention to it. But this profound core 8th level cultivator, unexpectedly did not appear in the academy's profound core realm preliminaries. It was simply inconceivable. Blood River Red Lotus. As soon as Ning Cheng set up his booth, someone immediately called out in surprise. Then someone suddenly spoke up, I understand, he is number 436, the cultivator who possesses the Blood River Red Lotus. Knowing that the Blood River Red Lotus was in Ning Cheng's hands, some of the cultivators who were in need of the Blood River Red Lotus began to squeeze in, as they inquired about the price of Ning Cheng's Blood River Red Lotus. Ning Cheng, on seeing that there were simply too many people asking, quickly stood up and spoke, my Blood River Red Lotus can only be exchanged for soul concentrating pills, or similar pills that can help one advance to the soul essence realm. This junior apprentice brother Zhang Qian's spiritual enhancement true nectar can only be exchanged for spiritual mist pills and spirit stones. They are all good things, but unfortunately there are only 10 drops of spiritual enhancement true nectar. It is simply too little. I will use 10 medium-grade spiritual mist pills plus 100,000 spirit stones to exchange for your spiritual enhancement true nectar. How about it? I will use 2 green radish purple fruits to exchange for your Blood River Red Lotus. How about it? If not, then I will add a few more spirit stones. All kinds of exchanging voices rushed out. Zhang Qian was able to easily exchange for what he wanted, but Ning Cheng was not able to find a soul concentrating pill so easily. Seeing the messy offers, Ning Cheng once again stood up and cupped his fists and spoke, friends, I only want something that can help me advance to the soul essence realm. Just a moment ago everyone also saw that my cultivation is a bit low, but some people are relying on their high cultivation, and want to threaten me, causing me to feel very afraid in my heart. So I think that once I advance to the soul essence realm, then this kind of garbage that can threaten me would be much less. Some of the cultivators on hearing Ning Cheng's words secretly despised him. You call this fear? You call this arrogance? How could you be so afraid? This friend, if you are willing to believe me, then you can put away the Blood River Red Lotus. I will go and look for a soul concentrating pill for you. Then can we exchange it? At this time, the stunning female cultivator who was standing not far from Ning Cheng took the initiative to speak up. I'm sorry, but I do not believe you. Besides, there are still bugs around you. It would be best for you to stay far away from me. Ning Cheng spoke in a light voice. He really admired this Jiang Jun unexpectedly. He had not left, and was still standing beside that stunning woman. Jiang Jun, on hearing Ning Cheng's words, immediately had blue veins pop up on his hands. If not for his rationality suppressing him, then he really would not have been able to bear it. After the stunning female cultivator heard Ning Cheng's words, she immediately shut her mouth. She did not leave, nor did she let Jiang Jun leave. At this time, from a corner of the main hall, several cultivators once again came out. Although Ning Cheng was calling out for his Blood River Red Lotus, but he was actually paying attention to the situation in the main hall. When he saw the cultivators coming out from the corner of the main hall, he immediately called out in surprise, Hey, is there another entrance to the main hall? Some of the cultivators who wanted Ning Cheng's Blood River Red Lotus rushed to reply, that is the place for the exchange of magical techniques and cultivation methods. As long as your jade card is black or white, then you can go there to exchange cultivation methods and cultivation methods. Ning Cheng then understood that the entrance to the magical techniques and cultivation methods of the cultivators was in the corner of the main hall. Hey, Blood River Red Lotus. Some of the cultivators who came out also saw Ning Cheng's Blood River Red Lotus, and spoke out. Ning Cheng felt a strange gaze on him, as he followed the direction of the gaze, and saw a Taoist priestess with an incomparably cold face. At this moment, this Taoist priestess was staring at him intently. This Taoist priestess was the one who was looking at him with a surprised gaze. It turned out to be a beautiful female cultivator, but also dressed up as a Taoist priestess. She was not the slightest bit inferior to the yellow-robed woman who wanted to go out to drink coffee with him a moment ago. Her appearance was just as delicate and peerless. A pair of clear water-like eyes, coupled with a snow-white robe, made people feel that in the next moment this woman would ascend to the immortal world. Her long hair was tied up in a bun. Not only did it not affect her temperament in the slightest, it even served as a foil to the creamy skin of her neck. Her feet were unexpectedly wearing a pair of very ordinary cotton shoes. At first glance she looked like the little sister next door, but looking at her again, she actually looked like an unreachable fairy. This kind of charm made people feel that every time they looked at her, they would feel that there was something different about her. It could be said that the word fairy was used to describe her. What was even more peculiar was that she was carrying a long sword on her back. Generally speaking, cultivators would put their magical weapons into their rings, except for a very few people who would carry their magical weapons on their backs and show off. This kind of situation was really rare. Although this beautiful Taoist priestess carried a long sword on her back, but it did not have even the slightest bit of protrusion, rather it added a kind of indescribable flavor to her. However, a Taoist priestess wearing a white robe was also rare. Ning Qing frowned. He felt that this female cultivator dressed up as a Taoist priestess was somewhat familiar to him. He quickly remembered, when he was in the ice house in the ancient immortal mansion, he had saved this female cultivator. No wonder the other party looked at him with some surprise. It seems that the other party had already recognized him. Ning Qing did not care about it, as long as he recognized her. He still held up the Blood River Red Lotus in his hand and said, "If you don't have a soul-condensing pill, then I will not exchange it." "Wait, I have a soul-condensing pill." This white-robed Taoist priestess suddenly took out a jade bottle and handed it to Ning Qing. Ning Qing took the jade bottle and looked at it, and found that there really was a soul-condensing pill inside. Moreover, it was a top-quality soul-condensing pill. Although Ning Qing himself rarely refined top-quality pills, but the pills that he refined were all top-quality pills. But who told him to not be able to refine a soul-condensing pill? Yes, it really is a soul-condensing pill. But my qualifications are very poor, so one might not be enough, but I have a pair of Blood River Red Lotus. At least I would like to exchange it for 2 soul-condensing pills. Ning Cheng's words immediately shocked all the cultivators in the main hall. Although the Blood River Red Lotus was precious, but it was not so precious that a pair of Blood River Red Lotus could be exchanged for 2 soul-condensing pills. Not to mention too, even if it was exchanged for a single soul-condensing pill, it would still be a big profit. Moreover, many of the people here also knew this Taoist priestess, and knew that she was a true inheriting disciple of the Severing Emotions Tao sect. Wanting to take advantage of this true inheriting disciple, simply did not know the difference between life and death. However, these cultivators soon felt relieved. This profound core 8th level cultivator did not even care about the disciples of the Floating Snow Palace, as well as the disciples of the Red Star Sword faction, so why would she be polite to the disciples of the Severing Emotions Tao sect? This was simply a lunatic. Now it was time to see how this true inheriting disciple of the Severing Emotions Tao sect would deal with this lunatic. But what made the surrounding people even more surprised, was that this Taoist priestess unexpectedly spoke. "I only have a single soul-condensing pill. Why don't you give me a stock of Blood River Red Lotus first?" Ning Qing did not find it strange, for this female cultivator to speak in such a manner. It could only be said that she knew how to repay kindness. In any case, he had also saved the life of the opposite party, as such asking for a few more soul essence realm cultivation pills would not be too much, right? Ning Qing put away the other party's jade bottle, and picked up a stalk of Blood River Red Lotus before handing it over to the other party and spoke. "It's really a pity, this Blood River Red Lotus is a pair, and is forcibly separated. Forget it, you can take it, as long as you give me this stock as compensation for the cultivation pills of a soul essence cultivator." Alas, who told me to be so soft-hearted? You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.